Hello everybody and welcome to the ninth round of the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship. We come to Bathurst for the penultimate round of our season, the final one of our double alternate features here tonight as we take on two 20-lap races on the mountain. The championship, because it is the penultimate round, could be settled indeed tonight in the penultimate round, but is it likely? We'll wait and see. Reece Wakefield certainly has a very big lead at the front of the standings, and we'll see whether he can hold on to it through the final two rounds of this season. It's myself, Ian O'Leary, and Isaac Fogarty with you here tonight in the commentary box for the ninth round of the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship. Isaac, good to be alongside you. It's the mountain for the penultimate round of our season, and it's a great place to come, as of course. Two 20-lap races tonight. What should be a very, very busy evening, in fact, because of everything we know about this circuit.
Yes, absolutely. Good evening, Ewan. Good evening, everybody tuning in at home. It's a pleasure to be alongside yourself as well this evening. First time we've shared the booth together. Looking forward to that for sure. But no, looking forward as well to the racing that we have ahead of us tonight. Two 20-lap races around the mountain. And the mountain is a very unforgiving place. We had Adelaide a couple of weeks ago, and that looked pretty unforgiving in a GT3 car, but this is a separate challenge entirely with the elevation change you experience going up the mountain and then all the way back down once again. This is going to be an action-packed evening of racing, that is for sure, and I, for one, am certainly looking forward to what the evening holds.
Yeah, indeed, it's going to be a lot of fun, this penultimate round of the championship. Let's just have a look at and talk about the championship standings before we get into the end of qualifying. Reece Wakefield is over the 2,000 points mark now. He's 112 in front of Daniel McCrone after winning both races last week. McCrone was very close in behind him though, and he dropped 10 further points. Danny Davison is next. There's a real chase for third actually between himself and Jeremy Washington, and Thomas Searle, who's moved up to fifth with that performance last week. Chris Miller has also moved on up. In fact, all of the rest of the guys in the top 10 have. Liam Jensen, Michael Whiting, Kane Ryder, Chris Lashbrook, all moving on up. Those that have been replaced: Toshin Colangelo, Ian Ward, Patrick Frame, James Doyle, all now outside the top 10, with Thomas Cool in the 15th position. 16th position. Also down the bottom end there, Liam Tipping, Jared Burns, Dean Powell, Mick Poley, Chris Croat, rounding off the top 20. The gaps do get a little bit larger all the way down there in the bottom end of the standings, and there's the rest of them indeed who have been at our races so far this season. 52 drivers have scored points over the course of this season so far. It's been a remarkable entry for everybody. There's so many coming each week. It's great to see. I believe tonight we have got 26 drivers in the field. Not all of them have qualified yet, although some of them are trying and so far have not been able to get a lap in on the board here from Bathurst, which I guess is expected. It is a difficult racetrack to actually get right, as we know, but we've maintained a good entry throughout the season, I think, and that's the side of a good series, I think. 26 still in the field. We've never had, of course, all 52 all at once, and the opening rounds did have a few more drivers, but yeah, we've retained numbers very well throughout this series so far. Great that a few more actually have turned out for Bathurst, which you can expect really, because it is a place that people enjoy, as far as I can tell, driving around.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a place, especially when it comes to Australia and New Zealand, that is not to be missed, and even so around the world, drivers love to come here and take the opportunity to drive a lap of Bathurst, even if it is in a virtually simulated world. So really glad that there's a bit of a boost in numbers this evening, and we do, as you said, have about 26 drivers in the field tonight, and hopefully they can all set a lap in qualifying, but it should make for a very interesting night with a few more drivers, and might encourage a couple more mistakes. We could see a safety car or two, but I guess for now the talk will be all about qualifying. Yeah,
indeed, and just how important indeed it might be as well, because sometimes track position plays more of a role around here than what you might expect. At least I think so. And we'll see who gets on top in this session. Campbell Adams is currently leading the session, by the way, with a 2-minute point 9, just 900ths of a second quicker than Reece Wakefield so far. You can see Adams making his way down the hill here in towards the final corners of the lap, his forest elbow, and then the run all the way down Comrade Straight. Once again, whiff of a slipstream as well, looks like from Dean Powell maybe, in the Mercedes. He flashes the lights to make sure that he doesn't get slowed up in these final corners as well. It's an open qualifying session, and although there's 20 minutes, it's going to feel pretty busy out there, and you're going to have to negotiate with traffic, as we've just seen there. Adams flashes the lights and the Mercedes gets out the way, and so he can continue on his lap towards the final corners here. We'll see if he goes any quicker.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on what he can do around the final few corners. Having a look, he has gone purple and improved his lap in a couple of sectors here. So sector 1 he was faster, and sector 2 he was purple. Goes across the line. There should be an improvement for him, and it certainly is. He goes 4 tenths clear of the championship leader, Reece Wakefield, and Reece will have to try and respond to that now. He's actually parked it on the infield, so he'll jump back to the pits and get a new set of tyres, go back out once again. 2 set of time. Daniel McCrowan sits in 3rd as well for Team Max Boost. So he's some 7 tenths behind. The gap seems fairly large between 1st and 2nd at the moment, but I have to imagine, Ewan, as this session goes on and the track starts to progress and the grip rubbers in, I should say, we'll start to see the times get even faster. Hopefully someone can find a response to that 2-minute 6, or 2-minute point 6, I should say, of Campbell Adams, because that is a blistering time.
Well, it's going to be very difficult to overhaul. Reece Wakefield's in the pit lane, so I wonder whether he's going to return in this session. Indeed, we will find out in the next laps. But Danny McCrowan is next on the board to try and... oh, that's not a very good forest elbow, and he's clipped the wall there. I'd imagine that will be a 0x, which will put an end to his hopes this time round. It's such a challenge here at Bathurst in qualifying, perhaps even more so than in the race. Yes, of course, in the race you've got to go consistently for 20 laps in this case, without crashing or whatever, but you might graze the wall in 1 or 2 places and get away with it in the race. In qualifying, you can't do that because it will invalidate your lap time. So qualifying is very, very difficult around this circuit indeed, and so It's really pressure on for these guys, and so far Campbell Adams has done the best of anybody. He's the only one, by the way, with a lap time quicker than a 2:01. So he's leading this session with just over 5 minutes to go and looking pretty strong as well.
Yeah, he is absolutely looking very strong. He looks like in the box seat to get this pole position. Will we see Reece Wakefield out again in this session? Given that there's 5 minutes to go, I'm a little bit doubtful actually. Kane Ryder across the line into 4th place. I'm just trying to keep an eye out for who might be improving their times. Reece Gardner down the order looks to be potentially on for an improvement here across the line. Was green in a couple sectors, and across the line, what can he do? Does he jump up a couple of spots here? He does, into 16th place, so finds himself a little bit further forward on the grid, which is wonderful. We've also seen a couple other drivers coming towards the line. Ian Ward, one of those drivers, now across the line. Does he jump up any spots? I think he stays 18th. So getting to crunch time, less than 5 minutes to go. The pointy end of this session indeed. And I think if you're out on the track now, you'll be within a shot of maybe improving your position a spot or 2. But if you're in the pits, as Reece Wakefield is at the pit exit, so coming back out on the track, you do not want to wait any longer to come back out on track, because you want to make sure you have plenty of time to get around and do that warm-up lap to get some temp in the tyres. Yeah, indeed, and that's more important than ever with these GT3 tyres the way they are now. You've got to think about that long way ahead, but given the fact that Reece Wakefield's been in the pit lane for quite some time now, Campbell Adams now joins him. I suspect the front two we might not be seeing any more laps from before this session is over. Kane Ryder's going pretty quickly at the moment from 4th place. Doesn't need too much of an improvement to jump ahead of his teammate into 3rd, but we'll see whether he can manage that. That's 3 personal best sectors in a row there, which comes to an end now as he gets into the final turns of the lap, into the chase for the final time there. So he will come over the line in just a moment and see whether he can jump up the field at all. Crosses the line. Well, that's McCrowan crossing the line just in front of Kane Ryder. McCrowan doesn't improve. Kane Ryder does
it does improve. There you go, up to 3rd place. So a nice improvement from him, just getting in front of his teammate. The gap still to Campbell Adams very large, but Max Boost are all over this again. 3 of the top 4 places they currently occupy.
Yeah, they have. They've got some quick cars at the moment, and they always have all season. Really, Team Max Boost. They have been pretty much the hero or there or thereabouts in comparison to One Performance Racing and Reece Wakefield. And I think if there was no Reece Wakefield in this championship, you'd absolutely see Team Max Boost probably taking out the podium each and every single week. But Reece Wakefield is just absolutely undeniable in these GT3 cars. He is so quick. Ian Ward jumps up a bunch of spots now into 14th place, so he's just improved. And it looks like James Doyle also just improved across the line. Chris Lashbrook has jumped up into 8th as well. As I say that, I'm trying to pick up drivers who are coming towards the line so that we do not miss them. And looking for them in my timing order is proving to be a little bit tricky sometimes because all the names and that can blend in. This is Christian for Downshift race team across the line. Is he going to improve here? He's actually quite considerably slower, so I think that may have been an outlap, and he won't improve on that occasion and actually pulls over. So that's a strange one, but only a couple of minutes left to go in this session, Ewan. We are running out of time, and for drivers like Kane Ryder and Daniel McCrowan, there's not a lot of time left to jump ahead of Reece Wakefield or Campbell Adams, who seem pretty set on the times they've set so far.
Yeah, they do. They seem like they're going to be starting on the front row together, those two, at the front of the field. Okay, let's see what Kane Ryder can do about that for the 2nd lap in a row. He's going quicker at the moment. So personal best sectors all around. 3 of them again here. And that penultimate sector, he's gone quicker this time round. Didn't manage that on his previous lap time. He comes up towards the line now with 90 seconds remaining. And does he move up? He does, by 2 thousandths of a second. Still not below a 2:01. Campbell Adams the only one to do that. But Reece Wakefield has been displaced from the front row by Campbell Adams and Kane Ryder. But it's Daniel McCrowan who is closest in the championship, and he is still behind Reece Wakefield at the moment. Those two contenders are going to be starting on row 2 together.
Yes, they certainly are going to be starting on row 2. Michael Whiting. Remember, when these cars cross the line, as I think everyone's actually just jumping back into business, we've had a car crash in the pit lane. When it gets to the 20-minute mark, that is it for the session. So even if you're still on a lap, you won't get to finish that lap if you don't meet the line. So Chris Lashbrook, he should be one of the last drivers to come across. He's sitting in 8th place at the moment. Will this be an improvement? Everyone else in front of him is in the pit lane. Can he jump ahead here? Mick Poley's just jumped up. Can Chris Lashbrook jump up a spot? No, he doesn't. So he'll stay in 8th. Mick Poley has jumped up, whereas Thomas Searle, he's crashed at the final corner. So Thomas Searle on a lap, which he looked to possibly be improving there, unfortunately has gone into the wall.
Yeah, pushing hard at the end of the lap there. And unfortunately, just a bit too hard maybe, and finds the wall out of the final turn. Jared Burns comes up towards the line now as well. Will be the last driver to complete this session, only just getting over the line in time for the end of the 20 minutes. And he improves on his lap time. He will start in 18th position, as we'll about to see in the in this grid as the heat gets underway. It's Campbell Adams taking the pole position from Bathurst in the Easy Motorcycles Fest GT3 Championship. Kane Ryder's alongside. Reece Wakefield and Daniel McCrowan on row 2 in front of Thomas Cool, who is just within a second of Adams there. Michael Whiting also on row 3. Cruz McVie and Chris Lashbrook are next in front of Mick Poley and Thomas Searle, who round out the top 10. Just outside that top 10, 11th gone to Liam Jensen, who's in front of James Doyle on an all Mustang row. All Porsche row next, Ryan Borg and James Foster. Ian Ward rounds out the top 15 in front of Patrick Frame, with Trent Thomas and Jared Burns on row 9. Reece Gardner and Dean Powell round out the top 20. 21st has gone to Lucas Baker, with James Bunker alongside Keith Logan and Christian Tachenko. Cody Blackman, the final drivers in the field. I don't think Brian East is going to be getting onto the grid. He didn't set a time in qualifying. We will wait and see whether he gets in for this race. But 20 laps, it's going to be a fairly long race. Both of them are going to be fairly long races here tonight in the double alternate feature. It's going to be about survival a little bit as well as pure race pace, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be look. It is the mountain, so you never know what's going to happen, especially on these first few laps. There is a big potential that we will see an incident, especially going across the top of the mountain or even coming down. So look out for that early safety car in this race, even a late race safety car as we get further into the evening as well in this second race that's coming up later on. There is a potential for drivers to start to feel the fatigue. They'll have been going for about an hour and a half, so they're going to feel tired and exhausted. And certainly the last place you want to be fatigued and tired is here at the mountain, because if you make some small slight mistake, it can be absolute catastrophe for yourself. And again, given how narrow across the top of the mountain is and going down, if someone goes in the wall and there's a car right behind you, we could have a monumental incident. So look out for that. Keep an eye out on these drivers in the battle packs, and we will make sure we follow those stories as best we can across the evening as the cars continue to grid up here for race number 1. Ewan, I don't know about you, but I'm very much looking forward to what's going to happen when those lights go out.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting run towards the mountain for the first time in just a few moments as we get underway. Still waiting for quite a few drivers to actually get themselves onto the grid. There's an extended gridding process happening here. No warm-up session, but just a long gridding. So we'll see that front row complete in a moment. The Max Boost drivers of Campbell Adams and Kane Ryder. At the moment, the first Max Boost driver you can see there's Daniel McCrone, just in behind Reece Wakefield there, you can see on the grid. And now with just seconds remaining, those guys at the front will pop themselves onto the grid. Campbell Adams needs to get on with it, unless he's going to start from the pit lane, which would be unusual, considering he got the pole a few moments ago. Still not there. There we go. He is on the grid now, and so are all 26 drivers in this field. Adams disappears again. Even Brian East, by the way, down the back end of the field. I said wouldn't race. In fact, he just didn't qualify. He will race, indeed, from the back of the field. Campbell Adams, though, is deciding whether or not he's going to race at the moment, it seems. He's messing around a little bit. Now he's onto the grid and ready, and hopefully can get underway now. 20 laps of racing here tonight in the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship. It's going to be 2 races, of course, and so this will be the first of them, set of course by the qualifying grid. The second race a reversed top 10 as always. On to the light sequence we go. We're underway for Bathurst. Oh, what a great start from Reece Wakefield. He makes contact and he spins. Reece Wakefield, the championship leader, spins after contact there with, I think it was Kane Ryder, who he tried to go past and he came across on, and he spins around Reece Wakefield. The championship leader is at the very back of the field. After drama on the front straight, Kane Ryder pulls over to the side. He's dropping back pretty quickly as well. Thomas Cool and Cruz McVie get up into second and third as McCrone stays where he is. Only now Wakefield gets himself round the first turn in a dramatic start for the championship leader. That is not what he needed on a night where he could have sealed the championship. Now he is going to lose a lot of points if it stays like this. That's a big moment for the championship leader.
That is a huge moment at the start of the race for Reece Wakefield. Tried to get off the line, got a much better launch than Kane Ryder and pulled across, and unfortunately it ended in disaster for both of them. Kane Ryder still rolling around. He is continuing to lose spots though, and there will be definitely damage on that Team Max Boost car. Look at the state of that Lamborghini as he rolls around. I think he's also maybe trying to redress the position slightly to apologise for what happened with Reece Wakefield, to maybe not catch as much of the wrath of the stewards. But that was a big incident on lap number 1, and as you said, Reece Wakefield, an evening where he probably felt like he could have had this championship wrapped up. He now has it all to do in this 20-lap race, and indeed later on this evening as well. This is going to be a fight back for Reece Wakefield from here, and indeed for Kane Ryder as well. But Campbell Adams, look at the gap that he has already. There he is, and in the background is Thomas Cool all the way here. There he is, to almost 3 seconds already. This has been a dream start for Campbell Adams. He's been able to skip away into the distance.
Yeah, it has been a pretty dream start, really, and even McCrone's under pressure here. Lost a couple of places there on that start to Cool and McVie, as I think McCrone slowed down to avoid what was going on in front of him. I must say, I don't know what Ken Ryder's doing. I think he probably does have damage, as that's a dive from Chris Lashbrook on Whiting in towards South Corner, and he's going to stay alongside, indeed, all the way down the mountain straight now towards the famous corners of this racetrack. I think the Corvette on the inside should prevail here, but Kane Ryder's into the pit lane, so's Jared Burns and Reece Wakefield after this opening lap. I don't think Ryder is going to redress the position, and I don't think he should, to be honest, based on what we saw from live pictures there. I don't think he did too much wrong, as Mick Poley now tries to get past Chris Lashbrook, whose attempted overtake is going to result in him getting overtaken here. And there goes Poley around the outside. He moves up to 6th place. Lashbrook moves down 1 place, now down to 7th.
Yeah, Lashbrook, getting his ears boxed here a little bit in the last few corners, trying to go for the overtake, as you said, on Michael Whiting, and wasn't able to make that stick, and as a result left himself vulnerable to Mick Poley, who went around the outside at the cutting. What an overtake from Mick Poley that was. I just want to go back and have a look at this start with Reece Wakefield and what the incident was. That is not what we wanted off the race start. Here we go. We'll have another attempt at getting this replay. So there's Reece Wakefield off the line, pulls across and just drives across, trying to cut off Kane Ryder, and as a result, massive contact with Kane. Another car smashed into him, one of the Corvettes. I'm trying to work out exactly who that was.
Looked like Jared Burns to me.
It was Jared Burns, yes, correct, Ewan. So made further contact with Jared Burns, and as a result, huge damage to all 3 cars at the start of this one. And I believe you are correct, Kane Ryder wasn't trying to redress that. He just had a very, very wounded Lamborghini.
And it's one of those where I think both of them were coming across on one another, really. Ryder was pointed to the inside of the turn towards turn 1, and Wakefield was trying to go to the outside, and they met in the middle there. I think Burns got a bit of help as well as he powered in there to Reece Wakefield, who was going to do well to get avoided by everybody. But they've all been in, Ryder, Burns and Wakefield, and they're back out again now onto the racetrack. So, yeah, it's a bad start for the championship leader, a very bad start, because Danny McCrowan is all the way up in 4th position at the moment. We'll see how much further he can recover now, as Ian Ward's at the front of this group. Trent Thomas and James Foster, you can see, battling just in behind them. Foster's got his nose alongside into turn 2, and a spin in front. That is a big one for Ian Ward. Massive crash. I don't think there was any contact. He just seemed to lose it on the way in there, and there's more contact there for Cody. Keith Logan, who has made contact there. He gets going again, but Ian Ward is in the wall hard, and I think that was completely on his own based on what we saw there. And there's Brian East. There's Keith Logan as well. There's a lot of damaged race cars now.
Yeah, this will be a safety car, I would imagine. These cars are not going anywhere. And Nathan Owen indeed is jumped into that car and is heading out into the pit lane. It does believe, I'll keep a very close eye on that, but these cars are absolutely not going anywhere. Brian East stopped. That is Keith Logan also stopped and not moving at the moment. Cars still rolling through. There are your race leaders, and unfortunately there is Keith Logan as well. It looks like Ian Ward is still sitting down at the final at Griffiths Bend as well, so he is yet to move, and we have gone safety car. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen, the first safety car of the evening, and it will be picked up by the man on your screen, Campbell Adams. I just want to go back and have a look at those replays if we can, just to decipher exactly what happened. So it all started back here for Ian Ward. Came into the braking zone of Griffin's Bend, maybe a little touch up there, got crossed up, backed it into the wall, heavy hit.
Yeah, there was definitely contact there. Didn't see that initially, but yeah, there was definitely contact there. And then as Keith Logan arrives, he's battling side by side with one of the Lamborghinis. I think that's Cody Blackman who ends up turning him into the wall, and that's pretty bad damage for the Porsche. I think as Brian East approaches, Logan is all over the road with damage. Yeah, there we go. And he spins straight in front of Brian East, who's taken out there. An innocent bystander in that one, although Keith Logan didn't have much control over his car either. And that ends both of their days. At least it means they have to tow all the way back to pit lane here at this circuit. That will cost them a lot of time. But we are under safety car. What a relief that is to those who were caught out in the opening lap incident there. Kane rider Jared Burns and Reece Wakefield have been given a lifeline here, really, because they're now at the back of the field. In fact, they're gaining places because of the incidents, and then because of some of the stops that are being made. So Wakefield's now up to 21st, Burns 19th, and Kane rider 18th. And, of course, they're right on the back of the train of the field, rather than being quite a long way behind in terms of seconds to catch up as well.
Yeah, this is a free kick for Reece Wakefield and Jared Burns' Kane rider, because they'll get back with this lead pack, as you said. So this is probably what they were hoping for in a way. Maybe not such a massive incident between all those drivers, and Brian East now seems to be back out on the circuit again. Is he rolling, or is he still just stationary? No, he is rolling. So he's into the pits. So he's getting that damage now repaired, and keep a very close eye on where they come back out. But see Thomas Cool on your screens here, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't know. Look, I'm trying to unpack that incident really, because it was a huge hit across the front draw, or the front. I want to say the front wing. It's not really a front wing, is it? The front bar of Brian East with Keith Logan moving across the track, and I'm surprised that car has actually made it back to the pits. It appears as well he wasn't towed, he's driven that car around, so that's interesting to note as well, ladies and gentlemen, that he's got that car back somehow, despite the amount of damage that has. But gives a chance for the entire field to just take a little bit of a breath, to calm down. This is a very intense race track, as we've discussed this evening a few times, Ewan. It's definitely not an easy place to race, or to race at full speed, really, with other cars around you. And what this does do is, unfortunately for Campbell Adams, eat into that lead that he had of just over 3 seconds. So that massive lead that he had over Thomas Cool has now all gone away, and he's going to have to work hard to get that back once again.
Yeah, indeed. We'll wait and see how many laps we've got under safety car here. Brian East has only just made his way out of the pit lane here, and generally we do wait for everybody to catch up. So there may be another lap under safety car yet. Not sure if the others are going to rejoin though. Cody Blackman seems to have actually disconnected after that, or just as that safety car was coming out. Ian Wards and Keith Logan seem to be both in the session as well though, and they might well make their way back out again. We'll wait and see in the next few moments as the safety car brings them into the chase. I think there will be one more lap under safety car here. Yeah, Keith Logan just making his way out. Quite important really for Ian Ward as well as all of them really to stay on the lead lap here and get out the pit lane as soon as possible before the field comes around, and Ian Ward does now do that. And say Cody Blackman seems to be out of the race now with that disconnection, but the others have made their way out of pit lane just in time to not go a lap down, so they're still in the race, and that's very, very important for them. If you're a lap down in one of these races, really, that's your chances of a good result over. So thankfully they've gotten out just in front of the pace car here. They'll race around to the back end, and we'll go green once they've caught up again.
Yeah, it's they'll hopefully get onto the back of the queue fairly quickly, as it looks like Dean Powell and as maybe having some disconnect issues as well. A couple cars dropping in and out. I know they're in the pit lane. There you go. So I was just looking at the move up and down the timing tower. It looked a bit strange, but they dived into the pits, so they will serve a pit stop and get a bit of fuel, maybe some tyres. There might be a little bit of damage on that car as well. Not entirely sure, but that'll be more free places for Reece Wakefield as he moves up into the top 20 now. So just the back end of the top 20 for Reece Wakefield. We have 26. We had 26 drivers in the field. As you said, Cody Blackman appears to have disconnected, so not going to feature in the remainder of this race. Whether he features in the second race coming up later this evening remains to be seen. This should be the final lap under safety car, but we'll get an idea when we get onto Conrod Straight, when we get down the bottom, just as to whether Nathan Allen in that safety car is going to pull away. We'll take a moment to say thank you to everybody in race control this evening. It's making this event happen. Nathan Allen, Isaac Edwards, and I had the other driver, Scott Bargent, in the race control this evening. They are doing a wonderful job, and Nathan Allen is behind the wheel of that BMW M4 safety car, so he's making sure that this field is behaving themselves. They're all under control, and very soon he'll pull away from them and leave them to their own devices under the guise of Campbell Adams and when he wants to get this thing started.
Yeah, indeed. So far, he's really dominated from the front of the field. Nice launch off the start, and although not compared to Wakefield, actually, who would have raced past him, I think, had he not made that contact with Kane Ryder. But anyway, raced out to a few seconds worth of a lead at the end of the first lap, indeed, and got himself far clear of the rest. See whether he can repeat that now as this restart happens. Thomas Cool right behind, then Cruz McVie, then Daniel McCrowan, and this is such an important race for McCrowan, I feel, as well. He's got such a gap in the championship, but there are 4 races to go, and when you break it down like that, he needs to gain, about 30 points a race, 28 points a race, something like that. That does sound like an awful lot, but with Reece Wakefield so far down the field, of course, this means if he's outside the top 10, that will secure where he starts for race 2 as well. These are big chances for McCrowan, just to put that little bit of doubt into Wakefield ahead of the final race next week. Yeah,
these are a key opportunity as we see. We will get the safety car in this lap as away. I thought that was away goes the pace car, but it looks like he might have actually slowed up again. But I believe we are getting the safety car in this lap. If that changes, we will let you know, of course, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, it's massive in this championship for Daniel McCrowan. He has got an opportunity here now to try and get his way past Cruz McVie and Thomas Cool, launch a challenge at Campbell Adams. The ideal situation for Daniel McCrowan here is that he can win race number 1, get some valuable points, as he said. And with this restart here, there is no time like the present to try and go for a few overtakes here. The hands, though, the start, though, is in the hands of Campbell Adams and when he decides to go.
He slows up, and the field behind him stops weaving through the final chicane now. Allen's in the pit lane, so Campbell Adams is in control, and we'll see where he decides to go here, down towards the final turn. Indeed, whether it might be out of the final turn, indeed, that he decides to let loose here. Down towards the final corner he comes now, and he will wait all the way until the final turn. Will he just go out of that final turn? He will indeed. No surprises, doesn't try and trick those behind, and everybody was absolutely waiting for that. So Thomas Cool able to stay quite close to Campbell Adams as the green flag waves again here on the mountain in the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship here tonight. It's one thing to react to him, though, it's another thing to stay with him. Campbell Adams already with car lamps opening up in front of him, or behind him rather, I should say. Here comes Cruz McVie in the slipstream of Thomas Cool. We'll see whether he can do anything down in towards turn 2 here. Whether he's close enough, I don't think so. He's going to look to the inside, he's going to get in the mirrors, but it's as you were coming onto the mountain for the first time on this restart.
Yeah, it's business as usual for Campbell Adams, starting to pull away once again. He actually really nailed that start off the final corner and started to pull away. Cruz McVie is putting his teammate under pressure. Cruz McVie performing a sort of ahead of this AM Cup trophy class that he's been put in. I would imagine he will not be an AM driver next season at all, because he has been driving absolutely beautifully all season, there or thereabouts on multiple occasions at the top end of this field, and he is looking and sizing his teammate Thomas Cool up for an overtake. Koala on Koala violence is very common here at MC Motorsport. We do see them come together fairly often. I think they'll both be hoping that's not going to be the case this evening, that they can keep their heads about them and not make any contact. The last thing they want is to ruin this double podium they've got, because Daniel McCrowan is right in behind this group. Campbell Adams has disappeared into the distance. 2.8 seconds. He has absolutely monstered it down the hill. There is nothing stopping this man at the moment as he continues to pull away. And look at this battle between the Koala Cartel cars. Thomas Cool doing everything he can to defend from Cruz McVie on the run into the chase now. Heavy under brakes. Thomas Cool not close enough. Look how much Daniel McCrowan's closing up under braking. That was a massive closing rate that he had. But Cruz McVie, he is still all over the back of that Mustang.
Right, so fight best of the rest here, really, isn't it? As the race leader runs away with quite some speed. I mentioned at the end of the opening lap of this race that he had 3 seconds. Well, he's done it again at the beginning of this restart as well. Campbell Adams leading by some margin. over Thomas Cool, Cruz McVie and Danny McCrone, who's got a decent run now, coming on to Mountain Straight, but Cruz McVie, it's pretty easy to defend on the way towards turn 2. It's told onto the inside here, and you should be fine. We'll see whether there's a dive from McCrone. He's going to stay behind, but he's going to want to get out of this. This is a big, dangerous group for him to be involved in.
Yeah, this is not what he wants to be a part of at all, because anything can happen here. And as you said, there is some tendency for some koala on koala violence. Look at this camera shot as they run through the cutting. Does that not look beautiful, ladies and gentlemen? You like that camera? I've got another one just here, if I can find it. Solomon Park, here we go. Look how close they get to this wall. Oh, that is a look. I don't think he can get any closer to that wall for some of these guys if they try. That is absolutely beautiful. The cameras that Jared Cole puts in, and the time and effort he puts into building these camera packs is just lovely. That's someone running wide at the top of Skyline. Was that Michael Whiting? I believe it was, in the Fishy Motorsports Corvette. And he is just trying to regather himself now. That's a scary moment. The last thing you want is to be in the grass coming towards Skyline, McPhillamy Park there, and he's now got Chris Lashbrook all over the back of him, putting him under pressure. It's the Battle of the Americas here, Corvette versus Mustang. They're fairly popular. We spoke about this last week, Ewan, at Hungaroring. The Corvette is quite a popular choice in the field, as is the Mustang.
Yeah. And look at the small gaps that are appearing in here, but really the group is all wand right the way down to 13th for the moment. As changes in the background there. That's Foster and Jensen going side by side in the background as into the pit lane now. Comes Thomas So in the Corvette, wants to get out of this, and you can understand why. There is that battle resolving itself further down the field, but yeah, this is lively, this group right now. Look down the inside from Doyle on his teammate Jensen in towards turn number 1. For a place in the top 10, these guys, of course, and that's Tatchenko, I think, making his way out of the pit lane rather slowly. He'll be a lap down in that Porsche now after making that pit stop. We are in the middle of the race, and it's a brave call from Thomas So to come in, but he's found himself a lot of free track space there to go on and come in early.
He's done well. Get out of the way. Find yourself a little bit of breathing room, and yeah, stay out of trouble, which is a smart call. Just having a look, Kane Ryder all over the back of Reece Gardner now. So he is continuing to push through this field. He's got Reece Wakefield just in behind him for company. So these guys up to 14th and 15th now. Keep in mind, we have had a couple pit stops that have been served since that safety car has occurred. But a little bit of contact with the wall there at the grate for Reece Wakefield. He's pushing this car as hard as he can. He wants to stay with Kane Ryder. They both want to follow through, get back into the top 10 if they can. Daniel McCrowan will be really hoping he can get a move done on Cruz McVie sometime soon. A 20-second time penalty for car 87. That is Trent Thomas, the contact on lap 3 at Griffin's Bend. So that was the contact, I believe, on Ian Ward that sparked the whole incident that caused a safety car in the first place.
Just going through some of the penalties, by the way. You've seen them popping up on your screen, but there are some post-race investigations happening. Christian Tatchenko's got a 5-second penalty, though. Trent Thomas a 20-second penalty for his contact, his part in the contact with Ian Ward into turn 2 that ultimately brought up that safety car. And Ryan Ball's got a 5-second penalty as well for contact with Liam Jensen. James Bunker has got 10 seconds now as well. So plenty of penalties coming in here, side by side, happening all throughout the field at the moment. Reece Wakefield's going to gain some places here as Reece Gardner and James Bunker both come into the pit lane. We're right on that stage of the race now. Wakefield side by side, meantime, with Kane Ryder, who's not going to let this go easily. These two side by side again for the first time since that lap 1 incident.
Yeah, these two picking up right where they left off on the starting line. This time making it further than the first few spots on the grid. But right in under that rear wing is Reece Wakefield. He is sizing up Kane Ryder for a move here into Griffin's Bend. Under brakes now, what can he do? Kane Ryder pulls across to try and dissuade the move a little bit. And that is lovely defensive driving from Kane Ryder. He is doing as much as he can to make that Lamborghini as wide as possible. Reece Wakefield searching for a way at the inside into 4 at the cutting, but not able to do it on this time around through 5, up into 6 under the tree at Solomon Park. And I think this is pretty much a one-line affair across the top here. So Reece Wakefield just needs to settle in. Now, they both sort of touch the wall there very lightly at the grate. But Reece Wakefield just needs to settle in, not lose too much time, stay close to the back of Kane Ryder here, and he'll be able to hopefully get a nice drive off Forrest Elbow, set himself up for a move in the chase. That will be the next key overtaking zone in these cars.
Yeah, indeed. There's more penalties coming in here. Oh, sorry, that's the one for James Bunker I was talking about a moment ago. But he's got 10 seconds worth of a penalty there. But yeah, this is an important battle now. Kane Ryder has got a real job here because Danny McCrone can't do much to prevent Reece Wakefield from gaining places back there, but Kane Ryder certainly can. So let's see on the way towards the chase here. Wakefield not close enough by the looks of things here. He looks to the inside, he's looking left and right, but yep, Kane Ryder's able to hold. Oh, he's got off through the chase there. He went into the grass, and Wakefield's surely going to get through now. That's the gift to the championship leader. Kane Ryder's got to slow down as well because he's gone wide through the chase, and he's presented 13th place to Reece Wakefield there. He'll be very frustrated to have made that mistake.
Yeah, he'll be kicking himself there. He was doing a wonderful job of holding up Reece Wakefield, defending that position, and now he's run wide at the chase, been forced into a little bit of a mistake, and it has opened the door for the championship leader to go on through up into 13th spot, and now try and set after Trent Thomas, who is 2.5 seconds up the road. So a little bit of work to do for Reece Wakefield. Kane Ryder will want to follow with him. Looking back towards the front of the field, we have Chris Lashbrook here all over the back of Michael Whiting, who as a result is on the back of Daniel McCrone. Car 131, a 5-second time penalty for contact on lap 7 at the exit of the chase. That is, if I look through my driver list to find out who that may be, I cannot find who that was. 131. I feel like I'm just missing the number here, and I was right. Ryan Borg. There we go. Finally found the number that I was looking for. Ryan Borg, who sits in 7th place at the moment, 1.5 seconds behind this little group. This little battle group is there. He is in the Porsche. Is going to find himself with a 5-second time penalty at the conclusion of this race. So not quite sure who the contact was with, but he has been served contact after exit on lap 7. So I think that was just after the safety car at the exit of the chase.
Yeah, indeed. Very close for second, by the way. There goes Cruz McVie down the inside into the chase. Now, that's quite a brave move to make on Thomas Cool, who responds on the outside of the final turn. Going to be close, and Cruz McVie holds on, so pass for second. Cruz McVie makes his way forward in front of Thomas Cool. It can be done down the inside of the chase, and it all closes the rest of the group as well. Although this group is only 5 drivers strong now, it does allow Danny McCrone and the rest of them to catch up a little bit more.
It certainly does. Look at the train of cars now from Cruz McVie all the way back to Chris Lashbrook in 6th. So that's 5 cars involved in this little battle group that we have on our screen. You can see the battle box. Chris Lashbrook pulls out, looks for a move on Michael Whiting, thinks about the overtake, not able to on that occasion. It's actually going to cost himself a chunk of time by running wide through Griffin's Bend. Campbell Adams is 9.5 seconds ahead of this group of cars. He has disappeared into the distance. The safety car did not dissuade him from the pace that he had at all. He has taken full advantage of the fact that these guys are still battling, and he's disappeared up the road well into the distance. And I think everyone has to serve a pit stop in this front group still, so they still have to come to the lane, but I do not think that's going to affect what Campbell Adams is doing, even in the slightest. He is flying out there at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Down the hill they come again. Just seems that McCrone doesn't have the speed, really, compared to the others. He closed in when Cruz McVie and Thomas Cool were fighting it out for second place, but since they resolved that, it's not been able to get anywhere near, really. And Michael Whiting seems closer to actually making a move here. And Chris Lashbrook is there or thereabouts as well. So down Conrod Straight again. Lashbrook pretty close in behind the Corvette in front here. I don't think there's going to be a dive from all the way back there, and indeed there isn't. So they stay as they are to these guys, and There's Foster and Jensen as well, battling for 9th place. As they can complete a lap 11 now. Campbell Adams still leading this race pretty comfortably at the front end of the field. 10 seconds his gap now over Cruz McVie, who sets the personal best that time round, and tried to get away from Thomas Coe. And again, McCrone just can't seem to live with them out there.
No, he's just struggling for pace a little bit. I looked on the previous lap, both cars behind him, on the previous 2 laps actually, both cars behind him were faster, so he is not having a lovely time in that car at the moment for whatever reason. Maybe something to do with the tyres, not entirely sure. We'll keep an eye on it. Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. We'll follow that story very closely for you. This is Reece Wakefield trying to find a way past James Doyle. He is all over the back of the Koala Cartel driver, looking, searching for an opening, a gap, if you will, up the inside of the Mustang. But unfortunately, at the moment, this is pretty much, as we said, one line across the top here. You're not really going to get an overtake done unless you are very, very brave. Keep in mind, though, Kane Ryder is right with him. He is all over the back of him. This is a very close little group of cars that we have at the moment. It's also pretty close at the front in Daniel McCrone, Michael White and Chris Lashbrook all over each other. But these guys, there is about 2 tenths between each of them. There is not much breathing room. Someone makes a mistake here, it could end in disaster for all 3 of them, especially if that person is James Doyle. Reece Wakefield, though, will not want to spend too much time behind the rear wing of this Mustang. He'll want to get past as soon as he can. A nice drive off Forest Elbow. He should be able to get the run down. Conrad to set himself up into the chase. We'll follow this as they run down the longest straight in Australian motorsport. Looks to overtake. A pulls alongside up the inside into the first part of the chase now. Is he going to get this done before they even get to the braking zone? He sort of is, but James Doyle thinks about coming back at him. Not able to on that occasion. Reece Wakefield will actually pretty much drive away into the distance there. Kane Ryder will want to be one to follow him through on quick succession. Is he going to be able to get it done at the final corner? No, he's not, but I'm sure it will only be a matter of time before Kane Ryder follows Reece Wakefield through.
He's going to have to work on his own move here, is Kane Ryder, because Reece Wakefield has not been able to pave the way for him. James Doyle able to shut the door on Kane Ryder, who's got a decent run towards turn 2, but as I mentioned earlier, it's quite easy to defend here, which means that just protect the inside line and he'll be fine. Although if he doesn't protect it, then maybe Kane Ryder's going to head down there. He looks down the inside and he does get through. He'll be later on the brakes there. Doyle puts up a decent fight actually on the outside, but it's almost impossible to go around the outside there. And Kane Ryder moves up into the top 10 as well. A nice pass, and in the end he was able to follow Wakefield through. I feel like Doyle wasn't too fussed about keeping him behind though, otherwise he would have defended the inside coming towards turn 2.
Yeah, I think he definitely would have gone a little bit more defensive, but I believe Doyle knew that he wasn't really in the fight with Kane Ryder today. He was only going to do both of them a disservice, knowing that there's cars that have stopped, so they both need to come through the pit lane still, and it would cost them both time to continue on with that battle. Speaking of battles, we have Cruz McVie and Thomas Cool. They've got about a second and a half, a little bit of a touch of the wall on the exit of Forest Elbow for Thomas Cool. That will not do any major damage, but it certainly will leave a little bit of a witness mark on the side of the Koala Cartel Mustang. He is trying to find a way back past his teammate in Cruz McVie. Cruz McVie got past a couple laps ago, managed to get that very beautiful overtake done, and now Thomas Cool wants to have his own turn to get a masterful overtake up into P number 2, but not close enough on that occasion through the chase. There's a few cars that are still battling away out there at the moment. Reece Wakefield is slowly closing in to Liam Gents, Chris Lashbrook all over the back of Daniel McCrowan, still not able to make anything happen at the moment. But Daniel McCrowan, he's not quite got the pace to close up to this group in front, but he has got enough pace to keep the cars that are behind him there so that they don't get past. So it's a bit of an interesting one for Daniel McCrowan, maybe a little bit of management as well. I'm not sure why you would need to manage too much in the 20-lap race, but maybe just a little bit of management and making sure that he doesn't overdrive that car and make a mistake.
Well, lap 14, and still these guys at the front of the field haven't stopped yet. The top 8 indeed have yet to come in. Where Wakefield, the first of them who has made a stop in this race, but it was after lap 1, so that doesn't really count. He will surely have to come in again as he puts the pressure on to Jensen up over the top of the hill here. Surprised he didn't come in last lap, actually, Wakefield there, because the previous lap he mostly had a nice bit of track space there to actually run into, if you like. He was able to run at his own speed, but now he's got up to Jensen. His pace being dictated by somebody else again, and maybe he feels if he pits then he's just going to be behind somebody else instead of Jensen. It's a bit quicker up here, and he might be right, but he is going to be slower on this lap, I'd imagine, than he was on the previous one. A 2:01.9 from him last time round. That was faster than everybody apart from Campbell Adams, who is still leading this race by an increasing margin at the front end of the field. Let's see if there's a move here coming into the chase for Wakefield. He's right in the slipstream, less than 0.2 of a second up to Jensen in front, and he looks up the inside. Now he's going to have to do it on the brakes, and he was waiting for it there with Jensen. Wakefield on the outside, he might well go around there anyway. Outside of the first part, inside of the second. That was nicely executed from Reece Wakefield there, who gets into 8th place. For now, it's going to be 6th for the moment because Lashbrook and Borg are both into the pit lane. But even despite his defence for Liam Jensen, Reece Wakefield just drove round him there, and that's another position gained.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a lovely textbook overtake around the outside from our championship leader, defending champion. He's got all the titles at the moment when it comes to the championship. Lashbrook and Borg, I'm going to be interested to see where they drop out here on these stops, just how far behind they will be from the other guys that have already served stops, where they're coming in relation to them. Keep an eye on Michael Whiting. Where is Michael Whiting? I'll find him on our timing screen for you, ladies and gentlemen. I believe he will come out in front of Christopher Lashbrook, who is just there. So there is actually Christopher Lashbrook, comes out, tries to go defensive on exit from Michael Whiting, doesn't want to lose that spot. He's already lost a spot to Thomas Searle. They're going to run side by side, up Mountain Straight, in towards Griffin's Bend now, under brakes. Lashbrook has the inside line on cold tyres, though, nonetheless. He pushes him a little bit wide, side by side, and for Chris Lashbrook, he'll hold on to that position. And now, as he runs across the top, he'll be very thankful that it is pretty much one line across here, because he does not want to have Michael Whiting trying to push on him once again on these cold tyres. This gives a little bit of breathing space for Chris Lashbrook to bring those tyres up to temperature, hopefully continue to push on. That's, of course, if he did put a fresh set of boots on. If he didn't, then it may have just been fuel, and we're running on the same sets of tyres. I'm not exactly sure what the strategy is here this evening. Maybe someone in the chat will be able to let us know. There's plenty of people getting around in chat, and we say g'day to you all. We appreciate jumping in and having a yarn with us this evening, keeping us company and saying g'day. We love seeing everybody jump in each and every week to show their support for this series. And as I say that, Campbell Adams has dived into the pit lane and technically done the fastest lap of the race, although I don't think it will count.
Well, everybody's in now. Nobody able to go on any further than 15 laps into this race. There's only 5 to go in this opening race of the day. Kane Ryder able to go on, actually, I say that, but he did pit on lap number 1, so he does have a little bit of extra fuel on, clearly, and able to go on and lead a lap. He'll get some free track space for a lap there on low fuel. Dean Powell's going to continue on here. He's just behind Campbell Adams. Ian Ward as well. Now, if you remember, they both pitted, not Ward, sorry, but Dean Powell pitted under the safety car with Patrick Frame a couple of times, and I wonder whether that means he's been able to save enough fuel to make it to the end. He last pitted on lap 4. Everybody else has just done 15 laps, and he might still have to do some fuel saving here. However, he's up in 3rd place. It will turn to 2nd when Kane Ryder comes in. I wonder whether he hasn't played a strategical blinder here, and he hasn't got himself into a podium place with those couple of stops on the safety car.
This would be a strategy masterstroke from Dean Powell is the word I'm looking for. If he can pull this off, he is in 3rd place. Ian Ward some 1.8 seconds behind. Daniel McCrowan, Keith Logan, a fair way behind as well, 5.5. So 5.9 seconds now back to Keith Logan from Ian Ward himself. So this is a nice little position that Dean Powell finds himself in if he doesn't have to come in again. My question, well, I'm wondering, I'm sure everybody else is wondering as well, where does Kane Ryder stack up in all of this? He elected to stay out, not come into the lane on the last lap. which probably speaks to the fuel that he has, considering he did come into the lane on lap 1 after that contact with Reece Wakefield. So how much can he continue on? Can he continue on to the end of this race? Has he been fuel saving enough that he might not have to stop again? Or will he have to come in, put a bit of fuel in that car? We're about to find out, ladies and gentlemen. He rounds through the chase up towards pit entry. Does he stay to the left here? He does. He pulls in, so this will be a stop for Kane Ryder. It'll be a question of where he does come out now. Reece Wakefield is 14th on the road, and he is right in behind Mick Poley, so he's putting pressure on Mick Poley as they run in towards the chase. How much further forward can he move in this field? Does he come out ahead of Kane Ryder? Does he come out behind Kane Ryder? I think we're about to get an answer to all of our questions, Ewan.
I think he'll be in front of, but let's wait and see whether that outlap from Kane Ryder and these early in-lap rather, whether these early outlaps for Wakefield have really slowed him down being in this group. There goes Kane Ryder flying down the field, unfortunately, as he exits now. He is just behind them. In fact, he's behind Jensen as well, as Patrick Frame's going to be quite close, although he's not quite going to get past. Kane Ryder will be fine in 15th position. So Wakefield's 13th. McCrowan is effectively at the front of this group, although he is pretty much alone with Keith Logan at the moment. And Wakefield down in 13th place. So there's significant points to be gained here for Danny McCrowan, but he's got to stay at the front of this group, and he's got to make sure that Wakefield doesn't pass everybody here, because they're stacked all up in front of him, really. You know, it looks like he's stuck in traffic and he's sort of stuck where he is, but there's 3 laps to go at the line. Plenty of time for him to gain quite a few places here, if possible. And I say that they're all sort of lined up in a row for him to pick off one by one.
Yeah, that's right. And Reece Wakefield, he's not a stranger to an unconventional overtake. He's certainly putting the pressure on Mick Poley at the moment. We could see, if he gets a nice run here, an overtake into Forest Elbow at the bottom of the hill just here. That would be not unconventional, but certainly out of character for what we've seen this evening with overtakes. Does he think about it on the run into Forest Elbow? He does not on that occasion. I know he was probably thinking about it in his head, but thought better on a little bit of a hit to the wall on the exit of Forest Elbow there for Reece Wakefield. Being told it's fuel only tonight, so no one would have taken tyres in those pit stops. Just got to put in enough fuel to make sure you can get to the end of this race. Now, Reece Wakefield and Mick Poley are starting to lose touch with that group in front. It's out to almost a second. This means that Reece Wakefield, he's going to have a look here, dives to the inside, under brakes. He is very good on the brakes in that Corvette. Mick Poley's going to hang around the outside, though, going to stay with him. Can he follow through, continue the charge? Here comes Liam Jensen as well, wants a piece of it. There's cars going side by side in the foreground as well. And Reece Wakefield holds on. And in the foreground, it was Michael Whiting and Ryan Borg that were battling. And as a result, Reece Wakefield might get 3 here before he even gets to turn 1. He's going to get past Michael Whiting. Ryan Borg will be the next car in line. And hopefully for Reece Wakefield, that will be a relatively easy pass, because he's up into the top 10 now, and every single point he gets from here, or every single position he gets from here, is crucial. They all are, but now he's inside the top 10.
He is. Great pass there. Mick Poley, unfortunately, punished for his attempts at trying to stay in front of Wakefield there, which is a bit of a shame, because it did allow Jensen to get straight through. And there goes Kane Ryder too. So Mick Poley, unfortunately, has dropped down to 14th now, despite putting up a good fight there in this group. But that's the way it goes sometimes, unfortunately. The only problem for Wakefield now, though, is that the battle between Borg and Whiting, yes, it did give him the place from Whiting, but look at the gap that's been created in front of Ryan Borg. They were all in a line here for Wakefield to just pick off one by one before that battle actually happened. Now it's 2 seconds of a gap there, and yes, Borg is actually closing some of that now, as Keith Logan is at the front of that group, just in front of them. But they're not quite all set up as nicely for Wakefield anymore, who definitely is going to lose some points here to McCrowan, but just depends really how many in these next few moments, how many overtakes he can make.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I think you definitely get past Ryan Borg here, but whether he can get up to the back of Thomas Cool in the next sort of 2 laps on the line will be, I don't know, it's a big ask. It's a very big ask for Reece Wakefield to get that up. We've seen it done side by side into the braking zone, a very conventional overtake, textbook move. Ryan Borg will try and stay with him on the exit of the chase, but on this occasion, it does seem to be going the way of Reece Wakefield. Goes defensive into the final corner. Ryan Borg will pull out to the racing line Reece Wakefield just a little bit of a jig to the right to cover him and make sure that he holds on to that position. Has the tours. Dean Powell into the pit lane. So Dean Powell, we spoke about maybe looking at a podium finish here. Unfortunately, has had to come into the pit lane towards the end of this race. Maybe just not enough fuel on board to make it to the end. That does promote Daniel McCrowan into second place and Cruz McVee up into third. So this could be a very strong result for Cruz McVee if he can hold on. However, he is under quite a lot of pressure from Thomas Searle, Chris Lashbrook and Thomas Cool, all riding behind him looking for that last spot on the podium.
Yeah, Cruz McVee was off the podium there for quite some time actually, and he's ended up behind McCrowan here, despite being in front of him and faster than him indeed for most of that first part of the race. McCrowan's pit strategy has clearly got him in front there. Bit of a shame that Dean Powell's strategy didn't quite work for him there. He was a couple of laps short in terms of fuel, but that would have taken him an awful lot of saving around here. Of course, it's well over 12 kilometres, and that's quite a lot to save, really, in the space of half an hour. So he's had to come into pit lane, and that will drop him a very long way down. But who's going to get this podium? Will it be Cruz McVee, who's been battling with this for some time? Or will Thomas Searle or Chris Lashbrook, or Thomas Cool indeed, be able to get through and into third position? So without a great run onto the Conrad straight here, Chris Lashbrook has got a chance to come past him here, and so making that early pit stop, of course, getting himself right involved in this. I wonder whether he's found himself in a lofty position as Lashbrook gets the assistance of Slipstream from Cruz McVee. The white flag is out for the race leader. 1 lap to go for everybody now. Campbell Adams crosses the line, and Searle keeps his position again. But the reason why McVee wanted that battle to go on, I suppose, is that he could get a bit of a gap over the others, and that's exactly what he's got now. His podium looking a little bit more secure.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's giving himself a little bit of breathing room as trying to keep up with the battles that are happening here. We've got Chris Lashbrook side by side in the background with Thomas Cool. So Chris Lashbrook could lose another spot, drop outside the top 5 here. They're side by side through turn 1. There's a little bit of Koala ADHD warfare. We see this time and time again. This is going to open the door for Reece Wakefield, who we thought was out of touching distance from this group to gain any more spots, but now all of a sudden this battling has meant that he's able to close right in to Thomas Cool and Chris Lashbrook. He's going to get a spot on Thomas Cool up into 6th place now, and now he's in the, or Chris Lashbrook I should say, is in the firing line of the reigning champ, the championship leader, to maybe potentially get another spot back in this race.
Yeah, there's time still for Reece Wakefield to really limit the damage that Daniel McCrowan's able to do to him in this double alternate feature round. Got another 20 lap race coming up next, and of course Wakefield will start in front of McCrowan in that one if things stay as they are. He's made his way to the top 10, which I think had to be the main objective really, after he spun on the opening lap. Really helped out by that safety car, of course, but you've got to ride your luck sometimes. Wakefield certainly has done that. Can he get into the top 5 though, with Chris Lashbrook just in front of him? That's a nice late apex from Lashbrook, but not a great turn itself, as miles out front the checker flag's being waved in a moment, or being readied anyway, for Campbell Adams, who is about to come round the final turn indeed. Here he comes in a moment, and Campbell Adams is going to win the first race here from Bathurst. Absolute domination. Pole position off the beginning, and fastest lap and all the laps led, and he wins this race comfortably here at Bathurst. Lashbrook defends the inside line into the chase. Wakefield not able to get past him there. It's going to have to be a final corner dive if it's going to happen here for the championship leader. Oh, and he's not going to go for it. It would have been a real lunge, and he decides against it in the end. Wakefield recovers to 6th. With McCrowan in 2nd, he drops points, but it's nowhere near as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, not as bad as it could have been for Wakefield at all. Probably the best of a bad situation here, and with the reverse top 10 in race 2 coming up, he'll actually start in front of Daniel McCrowan. With the pace that Daniel McCrowan has been struggling to find here this evening, that could actually play into Reece Wakefield's hands here. So he'll start on the 3rd row of the grid for the race coming up very shortly. Still got cars coming across the line. There goes Keith Logan, and we're still waiting on 2 cars, I believe, the Porsche, the 146 Porsche, and the 11 McLaren of Brian East, still yet to come around. Here comes the Porsche and Brian East. If I look on my track map as to where he is, he's about halfway around the lap, so we might be waiting a little while for Brian East. I'll get him up on our screen so we can see him. Here he is.
He only crossed the line just in front.
On the leader.
Yeah, he is just about. He only crossed the line just in front of Campbell Adams, actually. So that's why he's so far back from the rest of the field. But anyway, he'll get himself to the finish in a moment, and very soon they'll be just taking a little break between these two races. But what a win for Campbell Adams. Just absolutely dominated that race. Completely destroyed the field there. Did Adams. It's his 4th race victory of the season, by the way. He's not been at every round, nothing like it, in fact, but when he has been hit, he's been very, very strong indeed. 4th is... he's only the 3rd race winner of this season. It's been about Dylan Shepherd, Campbell Adams and Reece Wakefield so far. No wins going anywhere else here this season. As we have a look at the race results, Glen East has just made his way across the line. We've got 5 minutes warm-up, so here are your race results. It's Campbell Adams who wins by 18.5 seconds in front of Daniel McCrowan. Chris McVie does get his podium in the end, holding on from Thomas Searle, Chris Lashbrook and the championship leader Reece Wakefield, who limited the damage well to finish in 6th place. Thomas Cool was in the group as well as Ryan Borg, Liam Jensen, Mick Poley round out the top 10. Then Michael Whiting and James Foster. A bit of a gap back to Patrick Frame, who made quite a few pit stops early in that race, of course. It did work out for him in the end, though, because he saved the fuel to get to the end. He finishes just in front of Kane Ryder, who went off through the final turns. We saw James Doyle was there as well, Trent Thomas, then Dean Powell, who had to make that very late pit stop. Ian Ward, Reece Gardner, Lucas Baker rounding out the top 20. 21st to Keith Logan, who was the last driver, according to this, on the lead lap. Christian Tatchenko and Brian East were 1 lap down. James Bunker, Jared Burns 2 down. And Cody Blackman retired and indeed disconnected a long time ago. See whether he gets back in for this second race, but warm-up is currently underway, and it is going to be another 20-lap race coming up. The top 10 reverse, though, and the thing that was encouraging about that race, I think, is that the amount of overtakes that we saw, expecting to see actually quite a similar second race, because we saw a lot of the top guys actually having to come through the field in that first race, much in the same way that you do see in a reverse grid race, only that in the first race it was down to issues in the opening lap. Second time round, looks like it's going to be down to a reverse grid, but I think this second race is going to feel rather similar.
Yeah, it certainly is. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Campbell Adams can do from 10th spot on the grid. He's got a little bit of work cut out for him. Thankfully, unlike Reece Wakefield, Kane Ryder, he doesn't have to come from all the way at the back of the field. So you'll be very grateful that he doesn't have to pass 26 cars. He only has to pass 9 cars that are in front of him. Kane Ryder, how far can he move forward in this race? I believe he'll start 15th or 16th. So fair way back on the 8th row of the grid for him. Can he move inside the top 10, and how far inside the top 10 can he get? He has got the pace, but he has to put it to good use with this second race coming up. 20 laps, of course, the same lengths as double alternate rounds this week. We go 20 laps and 20 laps, even amount. And then, looking for, again, strategy-wise, I think we've seen a pretty interesting split there. You and a couple cars deciding to come in early in the race, get their stop out of the way, just put enough fuel in to get home. Other cars electing to push on as long as they can, do a little bit of fuel saving to maximise their laps, which means that they don't have to come in until later in the race, about lap 15, 16. It means they don't have to spend as long in the box to put fuel in potentially. But look, it's interesting to note and gives people, I think, different ideas of what they could do in this race. If I'm someone like Campbell Adams and I can't get through the traffic that I have in front of me at the start of this race, as soon as my window opens where I can fuel up and get home, I'd probably take that.
Yeah, the thing that puts everyone off doing that is two things, really. One is the traffic that you might end up in if you're pitting early. You might end up behind somebody slower than you and find it difficult to overtake them, or even if you are overtaking them, you'll still be going slower than what the guys out front are. And the heavier fuel load as well generally puts people off. It does mean that you run around with a heavier car a bit more often, but I think it was interesting that Thomas Searle came in so early in that first race and seemed to make it work, actually. He was in the conversation for a podium there. And, you know, he would have had a heavier fuel load, a heavier car for some time in that race, but he saw the group going on in front of him, thought, It's not much point me being involved in this at the moment. I'll come into the pit lane and run some laps on my own, and it did seem to work for him, so maybe it is an option for these guys in this race here today, race 2. Maybe some people will have taken note of that earlier stop and will indeed try it themselves, but generally the general rule this season so far has very much been running as long as possible, as we saw to a degree in that race. On lap 15 we saw pretty much everybody into pit lane that time round.
Yeah, I think you'll be hard-pressed to find someone that's not going to come into the pits to take fuel. You'll be doing very well if you can get through to the end of this race without taking a pit stop. So keep a very close eye on that, the strategy. I'm very curious to see how this unfolds, as you said, as the evening goes on. It'll be an exciting race, that's for sure. And I think we're not too far away from the cars being able to grid up with this last race of the evening.
Yeah, they will be allowed in a moment. Not many drivers actually making their way out in warm-up, really. James Doyle and Christian Tachenko doing a lap or so, but nothing really, because it is only moments after a long 20-lap race for everybody. Not too many people motivated particularly to go on and do more laps there in that warm-up session. They just want to take the break and then get ready for race 2. So, top 10 reversed, and this is the grid. Mick Poley on the pole in front of Liam Jensen on that front row, with Ryan Borg and Thomas Coolian on row 2. Rich Wakefield will start from 5th, and he'll be in front of his championship rival Daniel McCrone. Between them, Chris Lashbrook, Thomas Searle and Cruz McVie. And rounding out the top 10, of course, is the race 1 winner Campbell Adams, who has to start from 10th position in this race. Michael Whiting is alongside James Foster then on row 6 with Patrick Frame and Kane Ryder. Then next, disappointing for Ryder that he couldn't get into the top 10 there, by the way, in that previous race. James Doyle and Trent Thomas are next in front of Dean Powell and Ian Ward. Reece Gardner and Lucas Baker round out the top 20. The final ones in the field: Keith Logan, Christian Tachenko, Brian East, James Bunker, Jared Burns. Cody Blackman is at the back of the field. We'll see whether he races after disconnecting in that first one. Gridding is underway. What a chance this could be for some of those other names to go on and win here, but what a chance it could also be for Reece Wakefield to go on and take his 8th victory of the season and surely extend that championship advantage again.
Yeah, it absolutely could be a key moment here for Reece Wakefield to try and extend that championship lead. He's got positions over Daniel McCrone in this one, and we're going to get our cameras up now and look at these cars as they come onto the grid. Looks a bit empty at the moment, but I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, just a minute or so's time, most of the cars will be on the grid, and we will not be too far away from a race start. Reece Wakefield, as you said, in a strong position here. Daniel McCrone found his way onto a podium. Great for his points in race number 1 to get some points back on Reece Wakefield, but he really needs something good here to get those points back in race number 2, because he needs to be finishing ahead of Reece Wakefield consistently if he wants a shot at the championship title before we get to the final round next week. So, look, I don't know. It's a big ask for Daniel McCrone. Could he do it? Absolutely he could, but he needs to find something in that Corvette. It just doesn't seem to be agreeing with him this evening. He's struggled a little bit in terms of pace in the races. He looks quick in qualifying, but the race pace just hasn't been there for him.
Yeah, indeed. It's 2 completely different ball games, really. Qualifying compared to the races. As the grid slowly filling up now. Only a few further down still yet to get onto the grid, and indeed Cody Blackman now the only one who hasn't, so wonder whether he is going to start at all, to be honest, with the disconnection that he had just before the safety car came out, actually, in that previous race. We'll see also whether we get a safety car here as well. If there's anywhere there's going to be one, then it would be Bathurst, although we have seen safety cars in plenty of other locations as well. Still penalties coming in for the previous race, by the way. Kane Ryder and Chris Lashbrook with penalties of 5 seconds since I last mentioned them, by the way. So that will continue on. Those investigations will continue as this second race gets underway. Green flag in the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship on the mountain again. And Wakefield this time puts his good start to good use, and he moves down the inside into 3rd position. He got a better launch than Thomas Cool, or is it Thomas Searle maybe, and he's gotten down the inside of Brian Borg in towards turn number 1. Borg's going to respond here, or try to, in towards turn 2, but I'm not sure he's going to get anywhere. He will look to the outside here. Wakefield not playing any games. He will defend the inside. He's already up to 3rd place after a great launch and a great dive at turn 1.
A wonderful start for Reece Wakefield up into 3rd spot. Liam Jensen putting pressure on Mick Poley here early on. This is key for Reece Wakefield. He wants to get past both of these cars as soon as possible. They're going to hold each other up across the top. Crucially, Campbell Adams up into 9th place. Daniel McCrowan's dropped spots into 12th, so he has lost spots off the start of this one here. Unfortunately, moving backwards off the line. Campbell Adams, though, will be happy that he's up a spot or 2. Cruz McVie in 8th place. Chris Lashbrook 7th. But here we go, down the hill, down the mountain, through Skyline for the first time in race number 2 this evening. A look at them all, line astern, running down the hill, and Reece Wakefield probably not keeping up as close as he would have liked in the early stages of that downhill run. Keep in mind, Campbell Adams very, very strong down the hill. He's going to have to slow down a little bit behind these cars. He's probably one of the quickest cars down that hill. Actually, it's where he finds a lot of his time. We saw that in race number 1 with how much he was pulling away. Reece Wakefield trying to size up Liam Jensen down Conrod, maybe for a move into the chase. I'm not sure if he's close enough on this occasion. He is in the slipstream though, pushing as hard as he can behind the rear wing of that Koala Cartel Mustang. Ryan Borg, look how much he closed in under brakes as well. A little bit of a slide on the exit for Borg, and he will continue to harass the back of Reece Wakefield as well. Reece Wakefield tries to go up the inside. Liam Jensen went defensive and had to go a long way around. Reece Wakefield not able to make it happen on that occasion.
He weaves around on the front straight here and looks to the outside again of Jensen, who he might well go around the outside anyway, where Wakefield, he spins on the inside. Jensen there spins. I think he must have clipped the inside curb. He was side by side with Wakefield, who I don't think touched him. Liam Jensen goes for a spin. He spins it back around again the right way, and he's down to 24th. That's a real shame for Jensen. He'd been running well there and was holding off Wakefield quite well, but it's all come to an end very quickly, unfortunately. We'll try and have a little look and see if there was any contact, but from what I saw there, I don't think there was, and I think he just got caught up on the inside curb and spun.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that. We can get a replay for you, ladies and gentlemen, see what exactly happened to Liam Jensen. Here we go, into turn number 1, catches the inside curb, and yeah, as you said, just unsettled that car and all on his own, spun it on the exit of 1 and across the pit entry. So got that car flipped around and it's continued on, but Reece Wakefield now has wasted no time in closing up to the back of Mick Poley in the lead of this race. He'll want to get out in front as soon as possible and maximise the time he has to build a gap to Campbell Adams, who is already up into 5th place.
Yeah, he's made a good start here as Campbell Adams, and you wonder whether he can run down Wakefield here, who I think is probably the other favourite for this race. On the opening lap, by the way, Danny McCrowan actually dropped places. He's still behind on where he started, and he's down in 10th at the moment. He was down to 12th though at worst, but here comes Wakefield. He's got to do this quickly because Campbell Adams rather, is going to chase him down. So down the inside he goes into the chase. That's not the most exhilarating move, but it needed to be made in towards the chase, as Adams is also making them. He gets down the inside of Lashbrook there and gets into 4th, but Wakefield's having to deal with the response here. Mick Poley was looking in the mirrors there, but couldn't quite get down the inside the final turn. So Wakefield leads, only taking him a couple of laps to get there, but Campbell Adams is only a few seconds behind him, indeed in 4th place. He's made 6 places in the first 2 laps.
Yeah, and he's just done the fastest lap of the race. So he is really just flying out there at the moment. Campbell Adams up 6 spots already in this race, the biggest mover in this field currently. Liam Jensen and James Doyle, unfortunately, the biggest losers down the back of the field. James Doyle down 10 spots at the start of this one, unfortunately in 25th spot. Cody Blackman did not feature in this race at all, unfortunately, due to that disconnect he had early on. Now, looking at Chris Lashbrook, he's still trying to stay with Campbell Adams here as they run into turn 4 up to the cutting. And I think that's going to be a moot point now. Campbell Adams, with the pace that he has down the hill, will absolutely disappear into the distance. There's still cars trying to sort out positions across the top of the mountain as we run up the hill. Ian Ward is, look at this camera shot as they run up against a wall. Look how close they are. This is going to get a little bit messy here, potentially. Keith Logan, Lucas Baker trying to jostle for position across the top. You don't want to go side by side through there, ladies and gentlemen. That could absolutely end in tears for someone, but they're trying to find a way. Jared Burns in behind as well, searching for a way past these guys.
Yeah, indeed. As Burns, of course, recovering from the lap 1 incident in the previous race. He finished a long way down in 25th in race number 1 as a result of the incident. Well, not only the result of what happened on lap number 1, but he did finish all the way down and still trying to recover from that now as well, as he gets into the slipstream there of Baker just in front, side by side, coming into the chase for 19th position. He's on the outside by the time they get to the braking zone, but he brakes later and he gets around there pretty nicely. So Burns up to 19th position. There's a change for second briefly there as well. Borg got in front of Poli for a brief moment, but can't quite do it sustainably. And here's Campbell Adams as well. He's going to be looking to get past these two very, very quickly.
Yeah, Ryan Borg will want to get ahead of Mick Poli. Similar fashion to Reece Wakefield. He wants to put a car between himself and Campbell Adams where he can. I feel like that'll be delaying the inevitable, but pulls to the inside. Can he get ahead under brakes here? Up the inside into Griffiths Bend. There's a little bit of a touch between the two of them. Mick Poli's going to go wide. That opens the door for Campbell Logan, and as a result, he's now going to look to get straight past Ryan Borg if he can into 4. Not close enough that time. Did think about it though. You could see in the mind of Campbell Adams that he was searching for that look as we go on board now with Campbell Adams. Get a sense of just what it's like to bring a GT car across the GT3 car across the top of the mountain at Bathurst, and look how close he's getting to those walls, absolutely pushing the limit of what this thing can do. 3 seconds up the road is Reece Wakefield. He'll be hoping that that stays the case for at least a little while. He doesn't want Campbell Adams to get straight past Ryan Borg here. He will be hoping that he can be defensive for a little bit on the run into the Forest Elbow now. Defensive line there from Ryan Borg. He knows that Campbell Adams will take any sort of overtake that he can, any sort of overlap, any sort of sniff of an opportunity. So he does not want to give him too many, but look at the slipstream run for Campbell Adams down the hill, behind the rear wing of that Porsche into the chase. Is he going to be close enough to get the overtake done on this occasion?
He's not close enough, surprisingly. I thought he would have gone for that. Don't forget that Borg is quicker than Poli, so being stuck behind by Borg is a little bit better, but Borg's not as quick as Reece Wakefield, who's into pit lane. I wonder whether they're expecting a safety car here, because we've got James Bunker, who is, and we have got a safety car. So the top 3 all expecting that came in. So did Danny McCrohan, and Bunker is still stopped over the top of the mountain there. So it's the end of lap 4 where the safety car comes out this time, rather than the end of, or on lap 3, like it did last time. Let's have a look at the iRacing Designs replay, shall we? Patrick Frame already wide. And that's awkward. That's with one of the Corvettes, and there goes James Bunker straight into him, and that seemingly is what's caused this safety car.
Yeah, that is so unfortunate for James Bunker. And look, he's trying to look at the front right of that car. It's not facing in the direction you want to at all. It's not even moving. That is completely torn the front right axle off that car, and he's done the right thing and pulled it up, stopped it. But unfortunately for James Bunker, that will mean he has to sit there and wait for a tow back to the pits. Mick Poli has elected to stay out. So your race leaders, the top 3, Reece Wakefield, where is I've lost them now actually. Reece Wakefield's, Campbell Adams, and Ryan Borg elected to come into the pits, and they did. So they are a little bit down the order. They've got a car between them on track, but crucially, everyone else at the front of the field, Poli, Lashbrook, McVie, Whiting, all chose to stay out. So split strategies here. This will be interesting. Can they save enough fuel now before the end of the race, Ewan, to make it to the end, or is this going to be, I don't know, a gamble?
Well, based on what we saw in the previous race, they can do 15 laps with a bit of safety car interruption. So let's say fully green, they can do 14. We're going to go green again with 14 laps to go, I would imagine, if we have 2 laps under safety car again. That would... I think they might require a splash again on this lap, but maybe they don't. And maybe they would... maybe they'd be fine to the end even from now. But there's 15 laps to go when they get to the line here. I'd say I don't think we'll be going green this time round. I think it will be next time. So I think it might be very close. Remember Dean Powell last time round pitted, we went green on at the end of lap 5 last time, so we would have been going green this time round. But Dean Powell, despite coming in twice under that safety car and refueling, still couldn't make it to the end, even from here. So I'd be very sceptical about them making it at this stage, but clearly, with half the field in, a lot of them believe that they can make it to the end here. And that does surprise me, but there's a lot of belief down there that they can make it all the way to the end of the race somehow.
Yeah, look, if anyone can pull it off, it is Reece Wakefield and Campbell Adams. So I would not be surprised if they do manage to do that at all. It does look like we're going to get another lap here under safety car potentially. Usually Nathan Allen would have pulled away by this point, but he's kept the field under control. As you can see there in the background, they run down Conrod straight. Safety car is in this lap. There we go. Okay, so the call has been made by race control that the car will come in this time by, and they'll be under the control of Mick Poley, who is yet to stop. So this is interesting. As you said, we got a restart on lap 5 last time. We got a restart on lap 5, start of lap 6 this time. Do they have enough fuel? How much fuel saving is needed from Reece Wakefield and Campbell Adams to get to the end of this race?
Well, I think they don't have enough fuel, and they're going to have to stop again. And they might have been expecting 2 laps under safety car here to help them out, but they're not going to get that. As the safety car comes into pit lane, everybody... Oh dear, Liam Jensen's off, by the way, in the background here, as there's been a stack up in towards the chase here, further down the field. He's dropping down as a result, so it's all happening as Mick Poley drives them towards the final corner now. In comes Searle, as does Brian East. So there's stops happening as we go back green here, as well as Keith Logan, who's in as well, and that's created some breaks in the group. There's some gaps appearing as this race goes back green. Mick Poley leading again. Ryan Borg meantime is side by side already with Tachenko and maybe Campbell Adams as well in towards turn number 1, and there we go. Oh, Tachenko's off. That might have been contact with Ryan Borg there. Tachenko straight off the road in towards turn number 1. Reece Wakefield able to get clear of that, and he's going to get past Baker into 9th very quickly as well. He's still in front of Campbell Adams and still managing to keep some distance between the pair as well.
Yes, he's still, you can see right behind him is Campbell Adams. I just wanted to check, make sure that Tachenko was running again, and he is. A couple of cars, handful of cars, electing to serve a pit stop on that occasion as under the safety car restart. Interesting time to go for a pit stop, but nonetheless, maybe they know something we don't. We could get another safety car later on. We will just try and grab a quick replay, if I can, of exactly what happened to Tachenko into turn number 1. Here we go. Under brakes, there is Ryan Borg alongside him into turn number 1, and there is a little bit of contact that results in him running wide. Manages to keep it out of the wall and gas it up fairly quickly to get it out of there. So that's a wonderful job from Tachenko to do so. But whether that results in a penalty for Ryan Borg remains to be seen. I'm sure that one will certainly be going to the stewards.
Yeah, indeed. As have many things so far in this race, indeed. No penalties, though, from this race yet. The safety car restart incidents are now just beginning to be investigated, by the way. So lap 1 has been dealt with. Hasn't been anything between now and then. But the safety car restart now under investigation as well for a few things. Here comes Chris Lashbrook down the inside. Is quite tentative. Mick Poley able to hang around the outside there and stay in front. Chris McVee's there now as well. He'll be looking left and right to go on and get through here. Top 6 all covered by a very, very small margin. Lashbrook goes wide, and that could be bad news as McVee goes through. Here comes Michael Whiting. How many are going to get through here on Lashbrook for that one mistake? Maybe he's going to limit it to 2, although there goes Foster. No, he's not going to get through as well. Whiting and McVee both capitalising very easily on that mistake, and here comes Thomas Cool now as well, as Foster couldn't get himself past Lashbrook. Cool is going to take advantage on Mountain Straight. on the way towards turn 2 again to the top 5.
Yep, he's going to do his best. Thomas Searle has crashed. I believe there's an incident involving Thomas Searle. Is he moving? Let's have a look. He is now moving once again. What exactly happened to the Corvette? We'll find out here into the final corner. And that's taken me away from what I wanted to see. I don't know why that's changed me drivers. Still learning the replay system, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. The iRacing Designs replay down into the final corner. Has he just done this all on his own? Oh, I think he has, yeah. It's just stepped out on him, cold tyres, and spun the car. And he does wait a second for a couple of cars to come through, flicks it around to the wrong way into the fence. That would not be ideal at all for your front aero in these cars. Again, and eventually does get it going again. So he is rolling now. We'll get back out onto hopefully trying to make some inroads. But he was one of those cars that pitted under this at the end of the safety car period there. So he was definitely on cold tyres. Interesting strategy call though to come in and get a fresh set of boots straight after the safety car. But fresh fuel. I don't think they're taking tyres we established in this race. But yeah, came in and decided to pit. And unfortunately has made a mistake on the outlap trying to catch back up to the field. So he'll have his work cut out for him even more.
Yeah, indeed. As McVie catches up to Polly at the front of the field, we're about a third of the way through race 2 tonight in the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship from Bathurst. One round to go after this one, by the way. Coming up next week, it is from Monza, and it's a feature round, so there'll be a shorter race than what the 2 we've seen tonight, and then a longer race than the 2 we've seen tonight. That first race not requiring a pit stop, and the second one will do. And that will decide our champion through this season. Wakefield has not been able to seal the title here tonight, and I don't think many expected him to. However, he is in a comfortable position. That's very close. Oh, and contact there as Foster got himself back in front of Thomas Cool. He lost the position last lap or the one before, and he muscled his way down the inside there into turn 2 and got himself ahead.
Yes, he's really tried to force his way through there, hasn't he, on Thomas Cool. He's looking to gain some spots here where he can. Reese Wakefield is not too far behind this group either. He's got Jared Burns for company right in behind him. So 2 Corvettes are pushing each other at this stage. Michael Whiting right in behind Cruz McVie, and Mick Polly has actually got a little bit of breathing room out the front at the moment. Just over a second he has in the lead of this race. Keep in mind, pretty much everyone everyone in this top 6, Reese Wakefield is the first car that has stopped, so everyone in front of him has to come into the pit lane. Jared Burns and Trent Thomas also have to stop. Ryan Borg and Campbell Adams are the next 2 drivers in this field that have served a pit stop. Daniel McCrowan is 13th. I'm going to look on my timing and see if he has stopped. He has. So Daniel McCrowan's actually also served a pit stop. Kane Ryder, has also served a pit stop. So crucially for me, I'm just noting here, Ewan, Kane Ryder is ahead of Campbell Adams. That's crucial track position that he has managed to gain under safety car.
I think it was actually on the restart. I think Adams was in front of Ryder before, but I don't know. As Lashbrook comes into the pit lane, he's definitely within the window to make it to the end, and earlier stops are seemingly a little bit more popular, it seems, here. But yeah, it's not been a good restart for Campbell Adams for whatever reason. And he's ended up behind Kane Ryder, who was behind was at least closer to McCrone than he was before. But Wakefield's certainly a lot further in front of him than he was earlier. So Wakefield's still in a decent place, unless, of course, Wakefield has to come in and stop again. Now, just see what the pit stop time is like for the likes of Lashbrook and Trent Thomas here. Should be about 10 seconds. Guys before did a 7-8 second pit stop, so expect that they'd only need sort of 4 or 5 seconds in a second stop if they did, and that would gain them quite a lot of time, but it would still mean them coming down pit lane again and having to make a lot of overtakes on the racetrack. So this race is far from over and very complicated, I think, as far as who's going to win it is concerned.
Yeah, very, very far from unresolved. Reese Wakefield seems to be in a bit of a box seat at the moment, given the position that he is in, but will there be anyone else that can challenge him towards the end of this race? We'll have to wait and see what does happen. Kane Ryder ahead of Ryan Borg now as well, so Kane Ryder's gained another spot. Ryan Borg, actually something has happened to Ryan Borg because he is losing a bunch of positions. He spun at McPhillamy Park. So that is a massive incident for Ryan Borg. He's going to get that going once again, drag a little bit of dirt onto the track while he does so. And we'll see if we can find out what exactly has happened to Ryan Borg here. Wow. Huge hit into the wall on the exit of the Great, running into McPhillamy. Oh, they've done very well to avoid him there as well. That was a massive, massive hit into the wall.
That was Adams and McCrone, by the way, who had to avoid that. That was top contenders in this race, but Ryan Borg has found the wall hard. He's actually able to carry on, which is pretty amazing. And so he is down to 15th, but amazing that he wasn't collected by anybody there, and that wasn't a bigger accident, in fact, as he came over the top of the hill there. 9 laps completed now in this race, by the way. On to lap 10, we'll be halfway at the end of the next lap, and Mick Polly is still holding on to this race lead. I mean, finished 10th in the first race, has looked vulnerable at the front of the field here for this entire race, really, as far as people queuing up behind him is concerned, or whatever. And still, they can't get past him. In fact, Cruz McVie and Michael Whiting at the moment are struggling to get close to him to make the pass. So I think his time at the front is short-lived, or going to be short-lived, Mick Polly. But we'll see. Oh no! Big accident, and Wakefield only just survives. That was Thomas Cool in the wall hard at turn 2. Wakefield slipped through on the inside only just, and Thomas Cool is somehow able to carry on.
That was a huge hit in the wall. I believe that was given. He was given assistance by James Foster there. That was a massive, massive impact for Thomas Cool. And the back end of that Mustang, look at him try to get this around. That rear end is very, very broken. He did not slow down at all with that contact into the wall. The iRap Designs replay will tell the story. He goes to the outside for the overtake. A little bit of contact. He tries to come across, and oh, that is a huge hit. The way he bounced off the wall as well, that was actually Jared Burns that came through and only just missed Thomas Cool. So brilliant awareness from Jared Burns to avoid that there. But yeah, I don't know entirely what to make of that incident, Ewan, but that was a massive impact, a huge hit into the wall regardless for Thomas Cool there, and he's got himself a slowdown, I think, because that car is struggling to turn now with the damage to the rear axle.
I'm very surprised he's able to carry on, to be honest, and that didn't cause a safety car again, to be honest with you. That was massive in towards turn 2. A gift to Wakefield. It could have been a very nasty surprise, but Wakefield just slipped through, and he'll be very pleased that he did. McCrarten's not running that well in this race, but if Wakefield were to not finish, for example, as he failed to in the second race at Adelaide a couple of weeks ago, then he would lose significant points. But the reason why that would be more pressing than what the one at Adelaide was is because the drop rounds are over now. You can't drop any of the last 3 rounds in this series, so every single race matters at this stage, as Wakefield now comes into turn 2. Outside he goes, and Foster's able to keep him behind here just for the moment. We've able to keep him behind into the chase as well. So Wakefield is going to have to be efficient here, because if he does have to stop again, he does have some catching to do on some of those up front.
Yeah, he certainly has a little bit of work to do if he does want to try and get past Wakefield, and he will not want to try and avoid stopping again if he can in this race, but I think he will be quick nonetheless. It is about 3.5 seconds to this little group that we can see on our screen, Cruz McVie and Michael Whiting. They were catching Mick Polly for a little while, but they've started to battle again, and as a result, they are dropping away. They're losing time to the man at the front of this field. Cruz McVie, though, in a strong position. Ryan Borg goes past Thomas Cool, who is still exiting the pits now after repairing the damage. He would have absolutely used a fast repair to make that as quick as possible to get back out on track where he can. Looking at our fields, we have Mick Polly, Chris McVie, Michael Whiting, James Foster and Reece Wakefield on your screen at the moment, battling for 4th place on the road. In the background, Kane Ryder has not long got past Jared Burns, and Campbell Adams is about 3 seconds behind that group. And here we go, Reece Wakefield to the outside, thinks about it. James Foster comes across to the racing line to defend that position. And this is getting pretty spicy between these two. This could end in disaster if they're not careful. The last thing Reece Wakefield wants is contact and something happening that will affect his race in the long term and affect his championship as a consequence. Michael Whiting is in the pits, so Reece Wakefield does gain another spot, but the last thing he'll want to do is battle with James Foster too hard here and end up in a wall.
Well, yes, that is true. As mentioned earlier, the drop rounds are out of play now, so he cannot afford an accident. But he also can't afford to sit behind forever here in this fourth place. But let's see how he strikes that balance here on the way up towards turn 2. He's not going to get past there. He is going to be remaining in behind Foster for third position for another lap. And again, I'm not sure whether he's going to have to stop again, because I think he's in the same situation as Dean Powell was in the previous race, i.e. he's 2 laps short. But we'll wait and see here. Patrick Frame was able to save the fuel, by the way, to get home, but it did cost him an awful lot of time, and he finished outside the top 10 in that previous race, so unsure what he's going to do here. Kane Ryder's next in line, so Wakefield is going to have company pretty soon. Jared Burns then is next, and then Campbell Adams, and then Daniel McCrone. For whatever reason, though, Campbell Adams just not looking quite as strong in this second race, or indeed compared to what he did earlier in this race, even where he was tearing through the field. He's not doing that anymore.
And is that strategic from Campbell Adams? Does he know that he might not be able to make it to the end on fuel, and therefore isn't pushing as hard? He has actually made a lot of time up down the hill, about half a second up, going just down the mountain on Jared Burns. But I think this could be strategic from Campbell Adams. If we're saying that someone like Reece Wakefield, who is now going for an overtake on James Foster once again, if Reece Wakefield has to stop again, can't make it to the end with when he did come in, is Campbell Adams playing the game of, well, if I save enough fuel here, I don't have to stop again. And while these guys are all battling in front, I'm just going to save my fuel, stick in a little bit of clean air, keep my tyre temps down, keep my my air temps down on my brakes, and just make everything optimal. This could be the strategy from Campbell Adams to get himself the victory here. So this could be a little bit of mind games from the race 1 winner in his Lamborghini to say, well, I don't need to push. I know that I can save fuel if I just drive like the way I'm driving.
And the stewards continuing to look at things from this second race, by the way. No penalties given out in race 2 just yet, which is good news. As Wakefield in towards turn 2. Again, can't get past Foster. And the gap to Polly and McVie ever extending here. Those top 2 are similar in speed. They do both have to stop. I wonder whether Wakefield is urgently trying to get past Foster here, because I must say he hasn't seemingly struggled to get past people in this race to now. This seemingly is the first time he's really come unstuck, and surprising really that it's James Foster who's able to keep him behind so easily right now.
Yeah, it's very strange indeed. I've just been, we saw on our screen not too long ago, no further action between Thomas Kuhl and James Foster either. So race control deemed that a racing incident, and there will be nothing further that comes from that. So that's interesting to note as well after that massive contact between the two of them. And it means that Reece Wakefield, who might have potentially been hoping maybe for a penalty, I'm not entirely sure, but he now has to get this pass done sooner rather than later. You can see Kane Ryder is starting to close in on these two in the background. Only 1.2 seconds back. Campbell Adams is right in behind. This is Jared Burns as well. So it's getting pretty close between everyone at the moment. The heavy hitters in this race are starting to close up, to get closer to each other, and it's all because James Foster is making it very difficult for Reece Wakefield to get past. He's making that Porsche as wide as possible at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. And he's about to have more company with Kane Ryder, but it doesn't look like that's going to bother him at the moment. Ryder, purple lap type, purple lap. That doesn't make fastest lap. Purple lap. He's catching very, very quickly right now, and Wakefield will want to get on with this. Foster in front will defend the inside. Oh no, he won't defend the inside again. He's got a little bit confident this time around, or he's just letting Wakefield go now. He's on the outside, so he's not going to be able to defend here anyway. Even with his nose in front at turn 2, he shouldn't be able to hold on, or can he? Is he still alongside? No, he isn't. And Wakefield slips himself through. I think Foster there got a little bit lulled into a bit of confidence that he'd just be able to stay in front forever, but he needed to defend the inside there at turn 2, didn't, and Wakefield took the chance to move into 3rd.
Well, you can't move too many times, especially coming into a braking zone like that, so I think Reece Wakefield maybe psyched him out a little bit, set him up to move across, and he knew that he wouldn't be able to move again, but Wakefield could, so he came back up the inside, got the move done. It was a lovely overtake, and Reece Wakefield, he had to work hard for that one. He absolutely was playing mind games with Jared Foster there, trying to put the pressure on, and now Campbell Adams has also found his way past Jared Burns in the background, so that's been a positional change as well for the Lamborghini, and he's now able to try to continue to close in on this group. We could have, at the end of this race, folks, Reece Wakefield, Kane Ryder and Campbell Adams battling it out for the lead of this race. Keep a very close eye on what happens, because we've got about 6 laps to go. Mick Polly doesn't have too much time before he'll have to come in. He's yet to stop in this race. Same with James Foster. But James Foster is causing, for a car that hasn't stopped yet, he's causing a massive headache for those like Reece Wakefield, Kane Ryder, who have stopped, because he is not making it easy. But now he does dive into the pit lane. So after making Reece Wakefield's life relatively difficult, he has dived into the pit lane to serve his pit stop, as has Cruz McVie. Mick Polly continues on for yet another lap. And the question I am asking myself now, Ewan, is how quickly can Campbell Adams close into this group in front? He is about 4 seconds away at the moment, but he's got pace in that car, so how quickly can he reel these guys in?
Well, he does have pace in that car, clearly, because we saw it in the previous races, but at the moment it's not showing it. I mean, his last lap time was over half a second slower than his personal best. His personal best in the previous race was miles better than the rest of the field in the low 202s. Might have even been a 201 he managed in that first race. I get the conditions might be difficult and different indeed, but his best lap time is slower than Kane Ryder's at the moment, slightly faster than Reece Wakefield, but Wakefield was faster than him last time round and has been to a very small degree quite often. So it's quite confusing what's happening to Campbell Adams at the moment, and the way that he is not really able to show the speed that he did in race number 1. This is a group further back, by the way, where pit stops have happened, and we're sure they can make it to the end. Cruz McVie and James Foster are 2 of those, although they're stuck behind Patrick Frame at the moment, who is in the same camp as the likes of Wakefield and Ryder and Adams as far as they pitted under the safety car. All one long line here for 9th position. These are the key moments for those who have just pitted, because this is where you can lose quite a lot of time.
Yeah, this is crucial for James Foster. He wants to try and make inroads as soon as he can. He's got Liam Jensen and Chris Lashbrook right in behind him as well, so he wants to maybe clear Cruz McVie as soon as possible. This is a little battle that we see forming. This was actually the battle for the back end of the podium earlier on in this race, actually, before this the pit stop started, before we had that safety car. So these guys have found their way together. Mick Polly dives in the lane from the lead of the race, so he'll be serving his pit stop. Will he come out with this group of cars? I'd imagine he will be relatively close, although he might actually be further up in front where Dean Powell and Patrick Frame, so that could be interesting to keep an eye on. Kane Ryder's just done the fastest lap of the race once again. He is flying at the moment out there, showing his true pace. We should get a battle between Reece Wakefield and Kane Ryder for the lead of this race all the way to the end, provided they both have enough fuel to finish this race. What does Campbell Adams have left in the tank? I'm not entirely sure. Has a look at the inside. James Foster now on, who's that? Patrick Frame, and he will go through. Patrick Frame losing a lot of positions here. Chris Lashbrook also looks to go through, and he ran wide to that corner, so not entirely sure what's happening for Patrick Frame, but he's just it appears that he sort of let everybody through there in a rather peculiar, if I can get that word out, situation.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what he's attempting there, but he's cost himself quite a lot of time. It's not just people on the alternate strategy that he's let through. He's let people on his strategy through as well. So not entirely sure what that's all about. But anyway, maybe he didn't want any part of this big group. And maybe his decision will be vindicated in a moment when they all pile into each other. But let's see here. Let's hope not. Anyway, for this group from 8th place on down, 6 of them involved. Frame is the last of them. Can see everything happening in front at the moment as Foster puts the pressure on McVie, who, by the way, for the second race in a row has had a longer stop than he maybe should have, and it's cost him some Well, in this occasion, it's only cost him time rather than positions, but in the previous race, it cost him a podium, I think. Although it might have been difficult for him to hold on in the late laps anyway. Here is the leader. Meantime, Reece Wakefield with Kane Ryder right behind. And there goes Kane Ryder down the inside. It was fastest lap from him again last time round with a 2:02.6. And these two who collided in the first metres of the first race side by side again. Although Ryder lets Wakefield back through again. 4 laps to go. Not sure whether these guys are going to fight to the very end or not. But if they are, it's going to be a battle for the win between these two.
That was a strange one from Ryder. Not sure. Maybe there was contact earlier on that we might have missed. I'm not entirely sure why. That was essentially a wave by from Kane Ryder there to let Reece Wakefield back through. But again, he will set himself up and go for the overtake once more on Reece Wakefield to try and get back past James Foster's gain a couple of positions, a handful of positions I should say, here out of the final corner. And you can see this little battle group. Dean Powers dived into the pit lane, so he's serving his pit stop once again from a strong position. Unfortunately not able to make it to the end of this race. And Liam Jensen, Cruz McVie and Chris Lashbrook all in behind James Foster here, who now sits up in 8th and leads a train of very angry Koala Cartel cars and a 180 HD car on the back of that. Speaking of Koala Cartel cars, Thomas Kuhl is back up into 20th after that incident earlier. Chris Lashbrook dives up the inside of Liam Jensen. Jensen's gone wide to leave him space, but Chris Lashbrook, maybe not as deep under brakes as he would have liked, swoops across the outside though into 4, and that's a very decisive move. Gets up into, that is inside the top 10 now for Liam Jensen, but wow, that looks like it's going to be a bit scary there for a moment.
Yeah, it always is in towards turn 2 based on what we've seen so far tonight. Indeed, what we've seen in this race, although Thomas Cole, who was in the wall hard at turn 2 earlier, is still in the race in 20th, so still going, which is pretty remarkable really. But 33 laps to go at the end of this one. It's been a great round of these Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship, this double alternate feature round. 2 20-lap races. And these rounds, of course, were replaced as the sprint rounds were wiped away after we saw at Algarve 3 races in the super sprint, but these were then changed on the back of that. Now 2 sort of medium length races really at 20 laps. As I say, next week we've got a feature round where one race will be shorter than this and the other will be longer. And finally, just as we get into the end here, Campbell Adams has started to put the pace on. Fastest lap of the race so far from him there at 2:02.5. That says one of 2 things to me, and I'm not sure which it is. Either Campbell Adams has finally saved enough fuel and now he can push on, or B, he's finally decided I'm never going to be able to save the fuel, so I might as well push on now. Because don't forget, Dean Power had to pit at the end of lap 18 after they did what I believe to be a very similar strategy to what these guys are attempting in this race.
Yeah, Dean Powell wasn't able to make it to the end of race number 1. Can these guys make it to the end of race number 2? We have 2 laps to go on the line here for race leaders, and what can Campbell Adams do? Has he saved enough at this point that these two might need to save a little bit to get to the end? I think time and time again, we see, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's real life or in racing, Bathurst, the end of a Bathurst race and fuel are always pretty much hand in hand, correlated. How much fuel do they have on board? Can they make it to the finish line? There's been some very iconic Bathurst races over the years that have all revolved around how much fuel do they have on board, and I think that is the question we're asking ourselves here. How much fuel does Reece Wakefield, Kane Ryder and indeed Campbell Adams have on board? Can they get to the end of this one? If they all can't make it to the end, I'd say Daniel McCrowan is the next in line, but he also pitted on lap 4, so the top 5 cars all pitted on lap 4, so therefore I don't believe would be able to make it to the end if the rest of them can't. So it would be Ian Ward that potentially could inherit the race lead here, depending on how long that pit stop is, so keep an eye out for that as they come towards the final corner now. They're going to push on, so clearly no fuel concerns just yet, or if there is fuel concerns, Ewan, they're completely ignoring them and just pretending that they don't exist.
Yeah, indeed. I'd imagine. Well, I find it difficult to see how their strategy is different to the one we saw in the previous race again. But anyway, clearly these guys seem confident now that they are going to make it. I mean, the fact that more came in suggests to me that, yeah, maybe that was the strategy to employ. But I think Campbell Adams has really had to fuel save here quite a lot, and that's why we've not seen the speed from him that we have in the past. See what Caden Ryder can do here as well with Reece Wakefield. Can he get past him here before the finish? There's such a small gap between them. There's got to be one more chance left in this race. Can he go on and take it, or will Reece Wakefield go on and win his 8th race of the season?
Yeah, Kenny will continue the strong form he has shown time and time again. He absolutely won. I don't know if I would say he dominated the championship last season, but he was very, very strong in taking out the championship at the end of last year, and now he looks to back this up with a very strong performance this season. As you said, 7 race victories already. Can he make it 8 here this evening, or will there be a last gasp from Caden Ryder? He is right on the rear wing of the Corvette, down the hill, through the dipper, in towards Forest Elbow now, at the bottom of the mountain. Only one more time around this mountain for these two. Opportunities are running out for Caden Ryder. A lap car ahead, and the lights are flashing for Reece Wakefield to let him know that he just needs him to get out of the way as quickly as possible to make sure that he does not affect this battle too much. The last thing they want is a lap car getting in the way of a really good battle at the end of this race. They've started to pull away from Campbell Adams, who I think has gone back into fuel conservation mode. So he is trying to save a bit more fuel again at the end. How much fuel do these two have on board? Can they get to the end of this race? Cruz McVie is in the pits. He cannot make it to the end. He was one of those drivers that's pitted on lap 4.
Oh.
Goes Caden Ryder. Caden Ryder's in.
Ryder's in. Wakefield carries on. Cruz McVie, by the way, towed to pit lane. I'm pretty sure he had a crash.
Oh, no.
Which is why he's towed back to pit lane. Does Campbell Adams have to come in as well? No. Caden Ryder cannot make it though. Now this, oh no! Oh, big one over the top of the hill, and he's taken out a teammate. He's grabbed his teammate there as well. Now, yeah, it was. Would that be James Doyle maybe? Who was, no, maybe not. Anyway, one of the Mustangs. It might be Liam Jensen actually. They both had to tow back to pit lane. So no safety car because we're too late in the race now for that. But Cruz McVie and Liam Jensen both in the pit lane. 2 koalas taken out in one go. Caden Ryder couldn't make it. But he's still in front of Mick Poley, so that's why they went for the pit lane under the safety car, because even if they would have had to pit again, they would still be ahead of those who didn't pit under the safety car, as we can see now. Campbell Adams is really falling off the back of Reece Wakefield. I think he's sipping fuel to get to the end of this race.
Yep. Well, I definitely think he is. I think that car is certainly going to start coughing very soon, which begs the question, how much fuel has Reece Wakefield got on board of this car? Is he just going to push, just go foot to the floor to the end, go as fast as he can? Because I guess the quicker you go, the sooner you're going to get to the finish line. If you try and slow down now, you're going to just delay the inevitable. That is Lucas Baker that is spun at the exit of the dipper, facing the wrong way. He'll have to be requesting a tow back to pits. He looks to be out of the way though, and he has jumped back to the pits eventually. Another car pulling off as well. That's Keith Logan. We'll get a quick replay of exactly what happened to, here we go, to Keith Logan. This is Lucas Baker into the dipper. Oh, huge impact into the wall there, unfortunately, and collected his teammate as well. Spun it up to the inside of the wall, and his teammate has had to continue on. And that is, unfortunately, a very disastrous crash for the two of them, teammates on teammates at the end of this race in multiple fashions. But Reece Wakefield, I think he's going to get there, and I think he's going to make it.
He's just about going to get there. He's slowing down quite considerably towards the line, actually, but he's got a good enough gap. Reece Wakefield is going to win his 8th race of the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship this season. He'll finish just in front of Campbell Adams, who makes it to the end, and Daniel McCrowan as well, who managed to make it a very, very long way on that fuel tank. Wakefield and McCrowan come out of the day pretty much even, you'd say, compared to when they went in. Wakefield has got a very good chance of sealing this title now at the final race next week, although it will still be open. The championship will still very much be open. 3 cars in the line here for 10th place, by the way. Patrick Frame looking to hold on to a top 10 here, defends the inside from Trent Thomas, and he will hold on indeed in front of Thomas and Thomas Searle as well, who is in there. But yeah, wow. That was close on fuel in the end there. Wakefield, I think, was coughing towards the line. Campbell Adams certainly would have been as well. The last lap times all in the 204s, 205s. They've been doing 2s at stages in that race. But in the end, they make their strategy work, and fair play to them. That's a long way to go on fuel.
It is a very long way to go on fuel at the end of the race, and yeah, absolutely a brilliant result for those drivers as they now return back to the pit lane. We're just waiting on Brian East once again to cross the line, and we'll be able to bring you those race results. So we'll just wait for him to finish, and again, we'll be able to bring in the full race results. And here we go. We are able to bring those up on the screen now. Brian East has crossed the start-finish line, and here they are.
Yeah, Reece Wakefield in the end gap 5 seconds in front of Campbell Adams. Daniel McCrone rounding off the podium, and Kane Ryder still finishing 4th despite having to pit going on to the last lap there. Mick Polly was the best of those on the other strategy, having not pitted under the safety car. Outside the top 5, Michael Whiting and Ian Ward, who battled to the end there. James Foster, Chris Lashbrook and Patrick Frame rounding out the top 10. Trent Thomas and Thomas Searles, we saw there, couldn't quite get inside that top 10. Gerald Burns and Reece Gardner were the last drivers within a minute of the win. James Doyle, Dean Powell, Thomas Cool and Brian East on the lead lap in the end there, with Christian Chachenko, Cruz McVie ending up rounding off the top 20. 21st in the end. Well, that's of course, it gets weird down there, doesn't it? Because the guys towed back to pit lane, but with McVie and Jensen, so that race result is going to have to be looked at. Lucas Baker 22nd in front of Keith Logan, Ryan Borg, James Bunker and Cody Blackman were multiple laps down there at the end, and I don't think any of those three got to the finish. Let's have a chat, shall we, to Reece Wakefield, who's won race 2 tonight. I don't know if you can drag them in, Isaac. I don't have the permissions to do that.
If I can, hang on. Maybe I don't have permissions. It's not going to let me. Let me drag.
Yeah, that's going to make things impossible. Then.
I will get on to my friendly tech man, Jared Cole.
Yes, we
actually,
might have
while
to.
We do that, we can cover the championship points if you would like to. I can bring that up for you now, if you'd like to have a look at the championship points, and we'll get some interviews lined up for you.
Yeah, indeed. Or indeed, if Mitch is listening, he can help us out. Anyway, these are the championship points coming into the final round of the season, and it is closer between Reece Wakefield and Daniel McCrowan. 102 points, the gap between them. It was 112 at the start of the day. Don't forget. So that is still a big gap, but it is closer than it was before. The race next week, of course, is. First race will be 100 points for the winner. Second will be 200 points for the winner. The reason why that is because you need to gain more points in race 1 or it's easier, to gain points in race 2 than it is in race 1 because of all of that. Thomas Searle has moved up to 3rd place with his performance tonight. Benny Davis and Jeremy Washington not here, so they drop out the top 3. Michael Whiting moves up, so does Chris Lashbrook. Kane Ryder, Liam Jensen moves down, unfortunately, tonight. Very close battle, though, for the bottom end of the top 5 there. Ian Ward runs out the top 10 now, only a few points in front of Patrick Frame now. James Doyle is next. Chris Miller wasn't here tonight, and that's cost him quite badly in the championship. Thomas Cool, Mick Poley, Jared Burns all move up, as Oisin Colangelo was not here today. Dean Powell, Liam Tipping, Trent Thomas round out the top 20. In the championship points here tonight, there are all the other positions. Chris McVie and Campbell Adams moving on up with performances tonight. Same for James Foster, Ryan Borg, Cody Blackman. Effectively, anyone who was here today has indeed gained positions and points if you're further down the field, as plenty of the guys in the field further down did not appear here tonight. Final thoughts from yourself, Isaac, while we're still waiting. We'll hang around for a couple of moments longer to see if somebody's listening, so we can... I've been given permission. Never mind. Let's have a chat to the 3 drivers, shall we? Starting with Reece Wakefield, who has won race 2 tonight. Reece, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Let's start with race 2, where you were ended tonight on a high, really. Talk us through that battle with yourself and Kane Ryder and the strategy you were employing. How close was that on fuel, and did you know he would have to come in again to pit again before the end of the race?
No, it was incredibly close on fuel. I was banking on 2 laps worth of safety car, and we only got the 1. So after we got going green again, I had to save 4 litres throughout the rest of the race. So it was incredibly tough to save 4 litres while still trying to maintain a gap between myself, Daniel McCrowan, Campbell Adams, Kane Ryder. I was very much pushed to my fuel saving limits. And the battle with Kane at the end, it was interesting because I actually didn't know he needed to pit again. So I'm trying to do my best at fuel saving while also trying to stay away from him. And he eventually got around me. And then I thought I maybe had pushed him off or something, and then he redressed it, and then it kind of clicked in my head that he wasn't going to give me the tow to save extra fuel. So it was a great race overall. I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
I can imagine you enjoyed it perhaps more than race one as well. Just talk us through what happened off the start there from your perspective on the front straight, and how it was to come back through the field again in the way that you had to.
Yeah, look, race one is 100% on me. I'll take full accountability for it. I got a really, really good start. Campbell and Kane not so much. I think they got pretty much the exact same start, and I just went for a gap that didn't exist really, and just rotated myself. But I knew I couldn't DNF a race. It'll cost me a lot of points. So I just pretty much picked myself back up, went back to the pits, repaired the car. Luckily enough though, I got a safety car, so I was rejoined at the back of the grid and just kind of pushed pretty hard to see how far I could make it. My goal was to be in 10th, so I could start first in race 2, but I mean, I'll take a 6th in race 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations on recovering to 6th place in race 1 and winning race 2 as well. And thanks for chatting to us. We'll see you next week at the finale.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much. Rhys Wakefield getting his 8th race victory of the season here tonight in race number 2. In the end, in front of Campbell Adams, who also won race 1, of course. Campbell, welcome, good to have you with us. And congratulations on having the best night of anybody if you look at pure race results. A first place and a second. How are you feeling after that one?
Yeah, it was race 1 was very strong. Was able to break away, and then race 2 was just coming through the field. Got a bit of damage lap 1, so I was actually quite happy with the safety car. But then it kind of just came to a fuel saving race, and obviously Rhys just nailed the fuel saving, so fair enough to him. But it was a bit disappointing. Just wasn't able to push it all that race, which is not how I like to go racing. But look, that's how it is. Fuel saving race. I learned a lot about fuel saving, which is good. So I'll have to use that next time.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask a bit about race 2, really, because in race 1 we saw, I don't know if you noticed because they were so far down the field and you were obviously at the front when the safety car came out in race 1, but there were some guys who did what I would describe as a very similar thing to what about half the field did in race 2, i.e. pitting under the safety car. They actually went in for a second splash to try and get to the end, but in the end they didn't seem to make it. I thought, therefore, you guys wouldn't make it. So how close was it? In the end, it looked very close, but it looked like you had to do a lot of fuel saving just to sort of make that strategy work. And in hindsight, would it have been better to stay out maybe under that safety car?
Yeah, maybe, but I had really bad damage since lap 1, so I wouldn't have been able to pull out a gap. So I had to pit. It was a smart option, but maybe coming in again and getting that bit of splash of fuel would have helped a little bit for sure. So that hindsight's 20/20, as they say. So maybe that was the way to go. But look, they didn't make it the first race, so maybe I don't know, not sure. They didn't fuel save enough. So fuel saving was crazy. Had to be 5th gear across the top of the hill the whole time. So it was not fun.
Yeah, and of course it's always easier for us just sat here watching, as we know. So congrats on getting a first place and a second place tonight in the 2 races, Campbell, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Campbell Adams, second place and first place in 2 races tonight. Danny McCrone can join us now as well. Third place in race 2 and second in race 1. Danny, welcome. Good to have you with us. How were those races here tonight for you? Race 1, you were able to get up to second place and clear yourself of the traffic eventually after quite a long time involved in traffic. And race 2, you're able to get onto the podium as well and just close that championship lead ever so slightly to Rhys Wakefield. How do you look back at tonight?
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate. Race 1, I got damage when Kane and Rhys had contact at the start, so I had no top end speed at all until I was able to use my quick repair. So I just saved as much fuel as I could behind the koala cars and managed to jump them. And then race 2, when the safety car came out, we were thinking it was going to do 2 laps. and you could definitely make it to the end. But when it only did one, we're like, oh, how's this going to be possible? But we managed to get there. But yeah, Reese is just a master of the fuel saving.
Yeah, it did look very, very difficult to save the fuel required in that second race. As I say, you have gained 10 points on Reese Wakefield here tonight. The gap 102, which sounds like an awful long way going into the final 2 races of the season next week. Just talk us through where you are in the championship, sort of how pleased you are with how this season has gone. You're the only driver now who can take it away from Wakefield. And of course, there's no drop weeks in these final 3 rounds, so anything can happen, of course. But how are you sort of looking back or beginning to look back on this season as it draws to a close?
No, I've really enjoyed it. I was a bit bummed that Jeremy Washington and Danny Davison didn't turn up tonight, because I liked having that bit of pressure from behind, to stay consistent. But in terms of catching Reese, I think with how the point system works in the league, it's very hard. Like, Reese would have to finish 15th to 20th, and I'd probably have to win every race from here on out. So it keeps the championship close, but I feel that Reese, with how he's dominated the season, he should be a lot further in front, but it does keep the championship close with the points.
Indeed, it is still alive going into the final rounds of the season. Congratulations on 2 podiums tonight, Daniel, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as always as well.
Thank you very much, mate. See you next week.
Thanks so much, Danny McCrowan. There, 2 podiums tonight on the mountain here at Bathurst. Isaac, it was a great round of this championship. Got to say, 2 long races tonight, longish races anyway, of 20 laps, and excitement as well. But fuel saving in the end is seems to be Reese Wakefield's forte, and in race 1, Campbell Adams' speed certainly won out by some distance. 2 good races though. Thoroughly enjoyed them both tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with that statement more. 2 brilliant races this evening. Got to see a safety car in both races, which we expected at Bathurst. So I feel like you'd be a bit crazy to do a race and not have a safety car here. So action aplenty. Campbell Adams really showing the pace that he had in race number 1. Couldn't do the same in race number 2. But as you said, fuel saving was the name of the game this evening, especially in that second race. And Reese Wakefield, he is an absolute master of that. So Monza next week. And I'm looking forward to sitting back and watching that one for 15 laps and then 30 laps of what is such an iconic circuit over there in Italy, and I couldn't think of a better way to finish out the season.
Yeah, indeed. We'll be live same time, same place next week with that final round of the championship. That will be from Monza. It will be a feature round of this championship, so a short race and a long race to come. As Daniel McCrowan said there, Reese Wakefield would need to have a very bad day indeed to lose the championship from here, but you never know what can happen, especially at Monza. So tune in next week to find out what is going to take place, as the championship gap is reduced to 102 points tonight with 2 podiums from McCrowan, and a little bit of trouble off the start of race 1 for Wakefield, but he survives another day and he will lead the championship into the finale. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Isaac Fogarty in this Simple Racing broadcast of the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship from Bathurst. Make sure you tune in next week for the finale from Monza. From all of us, for now, it's goodbye.